Howdy folks, welcome to Adventures in Alberon, our 5th edition D&D campaign. I'm Joe Treff, your Dungeon Master for the evening, and joining me, I have Matt, Dan, and Alana. Hannah is still feeling under the weather, and Tina is a little under the weather as well today, but they should be back next week. But in the meantime, please, if you are watching, I hope you guys are doing okay. A couple of announcements before we get started. So last night we had Mosaic Team 5, Session 9. I can't believe we're almost 10 sessions into that campaign already. Yeah. It was a doozy of a session. There was a lot of
space fights. Pew pew pew.
There's no space fights. It was entirely a fight in the tunnel of love at an amusement park, which still fantastic. But that was yesterday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be replayed on YouTube on Sunday at noon. Followed 4 hours later by this session when it's replayed on YouTube as well. We can be found on all social media things at Alberon RPG. We also have a website. It's alberonrpg.com. No at. Just alberonrpg.com. It has a number of things that are really interesting to look at. There are profiles for all of the characters. There is only a 105-page guide to Dominion because the current version is over 180 pages, and I can't find an application to support that right now for a PDF. So I'm still working on that, but at some point there will be a free guide to running the game that you want to run in Dominion. And then last night, thank you to Phoenix Soldier for donating bits, and then to Juju Stand 1 for subscribing earlier today. Appreciate that. If you do have Amazon Prime, you can use that to subscribe for free, and it helps benefit us and do all the things that we do. So feel free to think about that. You also unlock some emotes when you do that. Currently, I can't remember off the top of my head what they are, but starting in about a week or two, they're going to change. The emotes that you get for subscribing are going to switch. I'll talk about those when they come to fruition a little bit more. When you follow us, you'll get an emote that corresponds to each of the characters in Adventures in Alberon. Those will be coming out. Huh?
Get the oof.
The oof? Oh, yeah, right. You have Doug. Doug is currently the one that you get for subscribing. Doug is the wombat that made a very brief appearance in our campaign.
A very long appearance in our hearts.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't run with a wombat into combat. Wombat. So, for all of that, that is all going to be available for free. Go to alberonrpg.com. We talked about emotes. The emotes are going to come out sometime in the next 2 weeks. Everybody in the cast is going to be getting swag next week, I think, probably Thursday or Friday. So that'll be pretty cool. And then if you want any versions of those will be available as well, including the special edition Peep full body art shirt, which is pretty cool. I'm really excited to have. And with that, we can get right back into our recap. So let me pull up our theme song.
Sad table's so lonely.
I know, yeah. There's so much. I zoom the camera on you because you're getting a pretty big close up this week because there's nobody else on your side. So enjoy that. Enjoy the exposure.
Just like stretch out.
Yeah. Everything that you want to do. Just throw those elbows all over the place.
This is where a good night to have gotten a couch for down here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not
you just like lay down on the couch. Oh man.
Adventures last that we played. You, within the town of Dungannon, found somebody to drive you by cart to retrieve your unique one-of-a-kind flying ship that you had left in the desert. The first day's travel took you to the Watchful Holdfast, the headquarters for the Helmsguard, a religious order dedicated to the god Helm, the watchful god, who have a mission to keep those within this area safe. You all found a relatively peaceful night's sleep after engaging with a number of merchants, and then made your way in the morning further south to the Kuatar Dig, whereupon you found your flying ship, the Winds of Change. Also aboard this ship, after you had already taken your newly hired cart driver for a quick spin, as they'd always wanted to see a flying ship, from beneath this almost demi-cargo hold, a massive shape emerged, and pulling themselves out was the devil that all of you failed to free within Zystresis' tomb.
Chose not to. Having not freed him, he did bear some ill will towards you, and combat ensued. There were, at several times, members of your party nearly thrown overboard,
But overall, you managed to succeed in this fight, banish this creature back to whence it came, and continue to travel, now listing slightly north and towards the Sunchoker chain, the mountains that form almost like a central region down the center of the continent of Dominion, which, because I have the map here, I can put the combat camera up and everybody can see, although not very closely. But you guys are currently, you found some rest, camped for the evening, continued slightly on your way, and you find yourselves now roughly past noon, getting to the point where you need to make a decision about where your travels are going to take you. So give me just one moment. I also kind of figured out how to master sound, so I can do things like just have preloaded sound sets ready to go.
From Sirenscape.
Digital tool set for DMs.
Not a sponsor.
Yep.
Yet.
One day.
Someday, like, the CEO of Sirenscape is going to be like,
I think it's just a guy named
fucking
Steve.
watch a random fucking Twitch stream. Oh, this is great. I want to sponsor them.
That's how it works, I'm sure. You'll
look
notice
on this
too,
and
in the
then
background
we'll
of this, you can hear over the sound of beating wings and everything, every now and then you will hear Oakfeld's wood chimes. I managed to figure out a sound effect for those as well. So all of you now aboard the Winds of Change, a flying ship meant, looking as if it's meant for the ocean, with sails and wings added to the side, which now kind of flap, steering you along the breeze. The breeze is gentle. It is just a little bit past noon. All of you are getting to a point where you can see the mountains looming overhead. Elements of woods, really scrubby grasslands below you. You do have this map in actual character, I believe, so you can kind of take it out and chart a course. But at this point, if you were to continue straight, you would cut straight across the Valley of Tranquility. And after a couple of hours, you would be arriving over the capital city of Sarental. This is a militantly human kingdom that is staunchly anti-magic.
We're like here?
Yeah, give or take. So, like a quarter of an inch north. Yeah, there you go. So, at the moment, should you continue on, you'll go across Sarental, which is staunchly anti-magic. And you would imagine seeing a flying ship pass over their territory probably would provoke a response. Dominion is a continent not known for warfare. The last 200 years have seen very little in regards to massive monsters or otherwise political intrigue that has caused war. Sarental is the only military power realistically on the continent. They have several banners, kind of full armies almost.
And
that
the
serve.
Navy, right?
They do have a navy. It's relatively small, and most of it serves out of Nocturne. But yeah, you know a little bit about the navy. I want to say you know about. I think the Night Sister is the flagship of the Nocturne Navy.
Yeah, I think I probably have it in the notes, but it's the wall of text notes. So.
Yes. So you know a little bit about Sarentil's forces. You've met some of Akka has not actually, but Shay at some point would have told you about the shields of Sarentil, these knights who are empowered by the kingdom and really by the Church of Six to go across and mete out justice how they see fit. And there are good ones and bad ones, like any law. Well, no. In
There
fantasy,
are good
like
ones
any,
and bad ones.
in
Like
fantasy, like any law enforcement group.
Any person,
Sure.
any individual.
But at the moment, you all find yourselves aboard the Wind of Change, this flying ship, and you do need to begin to make a decision. But the weather's pretty nice. It is spring. You're at a little bit higher, so maybe about 60 degrees. Still a little chilly, but the wind is dead. All you really have is the flapping of the wings.
Listen, I know we're on a tight timetable here, but I really don't think we have the ability to deal with Sarentil. Like, we have enough on our plate. We don't need to be bringing in a whole other country into this. Well, not country, a whole other power into this.
How long do you think it would take us to get to to Nocturne going your ideal route?
Well, it would just be kind of going north over and then heading down the other coast. I said it was 3-4 days? Going the slow way? Or 4 or 5?
So, should you take that route and go along the coast, we're looking at probably closer to 4 or 5.
Okay.
If you were to cut straight across and take no shortcut, you could do it in maybe 2.5 days. So it is a pretty substantial increase in time. But with that map, you can realistically chart out whatever way you want to travel. There are pros and cons to everything.
I have faith that we will go unharmed if we travel through Ceratal. Do you have faith?
No, that's the dumbest thing.
They don't take too kindly to
Magical
any magic.
tree ants.
And we're in a magic ship. I'm worried that will draw too much attention to ourselves. Don't want to get arrested.
Don't want to get arrested, but we need to go quickly.
I don't know if we just scoot over the top and then make as clean of a route downwards as we can back south. Take us over the Idlewild.
Just follow the mountains.
Yeah.
I guess that's the safest way, and then it would be better to arrive there a little late than get held up in Sarentil for longer.
And if the ship takes too much damage where we have to land it, if we're in the middle of Sarentil or the Valley of Tranquility, I worry that we're going to have a hard time getting us back on track.
All right, let's do what you can.
One other thing that's interesting to think about as you continue towards Nocturne. Very technically, Nocturne is while not a part of the Kingdom of Sarentil, it is very closely allied. The Shade Warden, the person who is in charge of the entire city, does have some administrative tasks to the Kingdom of Sarentil. So in terms of flying a flying ship in,
It's also going to be tough.
it's definitely gonna draw some attention.
Yeah.
So it's something to think about. The Three Tide Accords area, which is where the docks would be, probably would have. Well, it's hard to say. You don't remember a whole lot about Nocturne.
The eastern reaches of the city that expand up and into the open docks outside of the walls themselves.
Correct.
Yes.
And when you were last there, there weren't a ton of Serentilian Navy folk there.
Because they had all been sent to Dungannon.
To Thousand
Or
Gates.
to Thousand Gates via Dungannon, right?
They are not. Sarentil and Dungannon don't really see eye to eye. They're not enemies necessarily.
Oh,
There's a
no,
lot
yeah,
of
because we were
suspicion.
coming up along. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was prior to.
prior.
It has
So
been many months.
Yes.
I think we should fly down, but when we get within maybe a day or so of actual Nocturne, sail it. That way at least we have something in our pocket if we need to get a quick getaway. The ship looks mostly normal when it's on sea.
Okay.
And the docks, well, at least we'll be able to get in on the side of the Three Tides. Not the Navy.
What is this here?
So that's Melora's gift.
Oh, okay.
That is that's Soon's gift. That's Soon's gift.
It's just nice grasslands.
So the Idlewild, make a history check.
Grew up kind of close.
Whoever wants to.
I'm trying to find my dice. Here we go.
I'll go for it.
I believe it's a dirty 20.
Pretty good.
A 10.
10. Sounds like a nice place.
Yeah.
18.
18. With an 18, the Idlewild, it's like a beautiful grasslands that stays relatively green year-round. There aren't a ton of huge predators. There are a few kind of grazing animals. The primary thing about the Idlewild that people talk about is Soon's gift. A long time ago, and Soon is the goddess of beauty and things of that nature. Soon there's a beautiful pool in the center of the Idlewild, where Soon was rumored to have spent a large amount of time at different periods of Alberon's history. At one point, while spending time there, she was ambushed. I don't recall off the top of my head, neither do you, the forces by which that happened. There was a human champion that intervened and gave her enough time to recover and dispel the evil from this place. And so, as a result, the hero's spirit was bound into the Idlewild and kept it free from monsters for most of the year. Now, there is a period of time. Off the top of my head, I cannot recall which month, but there is the Hunt of the Idlewild.
Neither can I.
That is when I want to say it's during the melting.
I want to say it's during the melting.
What happens is the spirit grows especially weak right around the elements at the end of winter. So yeah, right around the melting, right around the end of winter. Okay. The spirit grows especially weak, and in this one period of time, monsters are able to manifest themselves as they used to in this space. And that is when the Hunt of the Idlewild begins. Heroes from across the continent and from beyond arrive, and there's like a big hunt that happens towards the end of it. Somebody still very shrouded in mystery who they serve or from what portent they come from, but they arrive with a briefcase of gold, and that goes to the person with the most impressive trophy.
Okay. And we're not near the melting right now, right? Because we're just
Today's
we're
date.
like kind of
The 4th of the
going
melting.
into winter went by fast.
It really didn't. We've been in winter for a year and a half of real life time.
A long winter.
We began in the fall.
It's
this
true.
campaign began 4 years ago in the fall. Do not tell me winter is short. It's a
Game of
long
Thrones winter right now.
Howdy, Talon.
Okay, so I guess hook around Sarentil, keeping low in the mountains, then skirt just along the ridge to get to the water and sail in.
No.
We should avoid Soon's gift because it is the melting, and there's
Well, we're not
probably-
participating. So we could
I
probably just.
suppose we could fly over, but I feel like we should
You don't.
avoid suspicion.
Alright, this is gonna be just throwing it out there. Monsters, right? You said that they only come around this time. And didn't you also mention something about dragons returning? You don't think those two things could converge?
Those things would almost certainly converge, right?
With an 18, I mean, you've never been, and given Aka's history, you don't have a lot of like investment in the Hunt of the Idlewild. You don't really know, but yeah, that certainly sounds like a possibility.
I mean, it's definitely a reasonable thought.
Alright, well, we'll set the course, and then if we need to change it when we get closer, we'll change it.
Whatever course you set, I have faith in you.
Aka's just thinking, like,
I appreciate it.
where's the worst place to be encountering a dragon? Probably thousands of feet in the sky.
I wouldn't want to do it there.
Yeah. On a wooden ship. Well, you're the the captain.
So I'm gonna plot a course to try and stay north of the Sandhill capital, head through the mountains, basically go straight across, and then we're gonna try to follow that ridge south.
Okay.
And when we get closer to the Idlewild, we'll start trying to get a closer look at to see what state the wilds are
Sure.
in.
Okay, no problem. You at the helm put your hands towards this now familiar set of controls, and as you shift, you feel the almost strange magic electricity of this ethereal sort of stream respond to your touch. For the rest of you, the ship lists slightly more to the north, and you begin to make your way a little bit quicker towards the Sunchoker chain. These mountains are fairly tall, but for those of you who have been to the north, nothing like what is seen out there amongst the mountain ranges like the Alum Famare and Mount Yoshi, or Mount Yishi being one of those. Yoshi. That's a dinosaur, not a sponsor. But Yeah, the thing about these mountains that is a little bit different, whereas there was snow coating almost everything in the north, here these are much more stony. And you can see vegetation clinging here and there. They are a lot more alive. As you begin to pass, an hour or two goes by. What are you guys doing as you're just kind of passing time?
I would probably saddle up to Akka.
I was gonna probably find a spot to just like spend the whole time figuring out how to best utilize my new arm and like figuring out all of the details of it so that I can like know how to fix it if it breaks and shit like that.
Sure. So you're over there with the arm. This is like the Luke Skywalker scene where you have it like opened up and there's a bunch of components.
Not a sponsor.
Make an investigation check.
And then I'm just ruminating over.
I'd probably wait for him to
have happened.
get to his ruminating phase.
Okay.
What kind of check?
Investigation.
Investigation 25.
Nice. As soon as you open this up for the first time, you squint. There is something out of place. And first of all, this machinery, as you open it up, it is a beautiful amalgamation of metal and magic. You can see all kinds of different gemstones and strange rotund metal objects that have tiny wires that splinter into like the actual mechanisms themselves. As you look down, though, you do see this strange blue sheen across some of the components, and you recognize very quickly there is still grung poison within this. You recognize that glub taking part in the construction of the arm. There is still like elements left over in there. Having noticed before you get involved, you take some time, remove that.
Okay.
You do also notice, which would have been terrible to find out in a battle situation, but you notice a couple things about this arm. First of all, there are elements within. This is definitely something that was not finished when it was attached to you.
Right.
There are definitely components of it that look like they could be moved or shifted over time to try to figure out ways to create some more room within this arm. Perhaps to accommodate, storage or up to, even other weapons, things of that nature. But at the moment, this is very much like oh my God, this person came in without an arm.
Right. It's
this
like,
is probably going to work.
Right. Yeah. It's like, all right, throw everything in there and clean it up later.
Yeah.
That's why I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
Like how. Yeah.
So you familiarize yourself enough to know that you could repair this. At your present understanding, you would definitely need like a state. You couldn't do it in combat.
Right.
But yeah, you're starting to gain an understanding of it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm just going to be like brooding and learning more about this until we get there. And kind of like, this better be fast.
Yeah.
Just got to keep moving, keep going. Fucking.
So as you brood, there's a moment where the brooding becomes slightly later. In Oakfield, if you want, you can sidle up to Akka.
Are you now like in like a room or?
I mean, the ship down below deck is teeny tiny.
Yeah.
So I would have probably just like
Brenna has to bend down a little
gone
bit to be
I
down
probably
there.
would have just gone like towards the front to like find a little spot that's not
Okay.
by the wheel and not necessarily where people would go and
Are there rooms in the bottom of the ship, or
No,
is it just
just like
straight open
it's
concept?
Yeah, so when it was first initially salvaged, that was part of a larger mechanism that controlled. If you guys had gotten the original Amber Bask that this is like based off of or salvaged from, the Amber Bask had electrical cannons that fired out the side, and there was a generator that needed to provide that energy. So this was like the top of that housing
because the bottom got crushed when we flew it
when you crashed when you destroyed it to the ground. Yes.
The Valley of Bones.
No. So when you guys were in the heart or the loom, the part of Yorn that was like the control room, you guys melted the magical ice that held up the Amberbask in the magical map that could manipulate the different levels of the city, and you just crashed it into the ground.
Yeah, crushed it. Yeah.
I just basically imagine the ship as like a studio apartment that we're all just kind of sharing.
Basically, yeah. It's so you guys have the potential. The original ship design is not quite the size of this map, but it was large. It had multiple rooms. It had a captain's quarters. It had several crew's quarters.
Damn.
It was 3 decks.
Damn.
You guys crashed that, and so now you have a taxi.
I don't think Akka did.
No, it was actually Heinrich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think, was Akka even there?
No.
Akka didn't exist.
Fine. Neither here nor there.
So I'm gonna saddle in.
Aka. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine. What do you need?
Oh, I wanted to, as they say, check in with you.
As they say.
Akka's just kind of like, okay.
I've been trying to connect with my fellow humanoid and view others as vessels of not just prayer, but as vessels of complications and thought and much, much more. And I come to you with maybe a concern. When I was talking to Magnolia, I mean, elder-wise, I asked her if she would be alright facing Captain Britta Keep, if she looked up to her at some point, and she seemed to be confused, and not in a way where her emotions were a bit mixed, and I have concerns that perhaps, maybe, when we encounter this Britta Keep, she may need some assistance from us to face her.
Yeah. That's why we're going. What? Yes. What?
Emotional assistance.
Okay.
So you look to Akka, the parent of emotional assistance. Although, actually, Oakfeld, to be fair, as you look around, you can see asleep at the moment, taking a little nap, is Brenna, who just kind of woke up 2 years out of time. You look over to Shay, who's just almost constant, flat expression. Of all the people who could maybe provide some emotional support, it would really be like Brenna or Akka, and Brenna's asleep. So that's you have limited options.
Oh my god.
I'm here for this character arc.
Raka.
I love it.
Akka's just kind of like, okay, great. Thank you, Oakfeld.
I have realized that maybe you're not the one to express emotions with you because of our past interactions, but I believe that if there is cause of concern with Elderwise, we could together help her.
Okay,
Oh,
great. I'm glad that you think that.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'll let you be.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just go back up.
Just
Steps.
like, what?
As you go up the steps,
This
Oakfeld,
fucking guy.
fucking guy. As you go up the steps, Oakfeld, please make a wisdom saving throw.
20. Wow.
20.
Look at this
Okay.
dice.
Oakfeld, for the first time, you're aware of the fact that over the last couple of days, there has been this weird sensation that you feel every now and then. Sometimes it's almost like there's a ringing in your ears. Like you lose the sensation of sound in one, and then it feels eerily like you're being watched. And you haven't really paid any attention to it. You know, you always feel like you're being watched. You do stick out. But this is different. And you only notice because in this moment, for the first time, you kind of shake your head and the ringing subsides.
I'm probably just gonna give my ears an old clean through,
Sure. Yeah.
and just give it an old look at. Mesmerized by it's not whatever is in a tree and instead of tree wax, probably like I don't even know, probably like some kind of dirt or sap
Just
or
sap,
something.
yeah. Sap buildup. You eat it.
Terrible.
Except I guess you could actually just eat it because that's like maple
terrible
syrup.
around the mouth, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm sure.
That's the best time to tap. Like,
I don't know anything about maple syrup production.
Right around February, because you want it to go cold and then start to slowly be melting.
Only thing I know about
Right before it melts.
the only thing I know about maple syrup is that when they make it, they don't even know what kind of syrup it's going to be till it's done, which is really cool, I think. Anyways, that is a slight digression from D&D.
Maple syrup talk.
You guys continue to fly. Another hour passes. Okay. Another hour passes, and howdy dos. Yeah, I don't know. I think at some point it might actually, because when I was listening to it last night, it did sound okay. For what it's worth. But Matt will take a look at the sound for you real quick. The mountains loom up larger. As it gets a little bit darker, closer to like 7 or 8, you do cross into the mountains proper. You would imagine as you begin to kind of navigate, there are areas where you have to navigate through wind tunnels caused by the mountains looming up on either side. If you want, you can fly higher, but you are distinctly aware of the fact that looking around, excuse me, this time of year, this time of night, there are not a lot of other birds in this region. And looking around, there are clouds in the sky. Go ahead and make a perception check, actually. But for anything looking for something in the air, you would be a pretty lonely target.
Not great. 9.
Ooh.
You look out, kind of taking in the various sights from this flying ship of yours passing beneath you. You can see the mountains rolling underneath, all kinds of trees. In this part of the world, actually, high up, very small cypress trees, almost bushes. You can see as the sun is setting behind you. Sorry, you guys are heading north. Oh gosh, immersion.
Rolling.
Yeah, so as the sun is setting kind of behind you as you pass over the mountains, there are long shadows spread out in the valley below. And you can see here and there little bits of motion. And as you lean over to see more, like a little fly hits you in the eyeball. You have to like pull it out. You wink. It waters. There's pain. And as you pull it out, it's especially gross because it's like still like on your finger in the kind of fluid. But you know, you get distracted. You can't really see too much. Time continues to pass, and as it begins to get darker, you can, and you're not tired by any means. It's about 8 o'clock as the sun sets, but you could push on for another 4 hours, and you would imagine from looking at this map that will get you just to the other side of the Sunchoker chain. And then from there, you'll be just a little bit south of a position on the map that is called Nature's Pride. There's a close-up for the people at home. So as that time happens over the next 4 hours, is there anything that you all wish to do for looking for a place to land? Interesting.
Can someone who can see better at night look around for me?
I'm looking for a place to land.
Make a perception check.
Like, just kind of like stand up from the front of the ship where I was just kind of like looking. I imagine that like right about the time that Oakfeld is leaving, you're like asking me to get up, and I'm just kind of like get up and start looking over the edge.
You're just like trying to work, and everybody just keeps interrupting.
Yeah.
No problem. So, good. What was your perception check?
Oh,
You got to roll one.
that's ooh.
Thanks for troubleshooting with us, Doss. Appreciate it.
Perception?
Yes.
Oh, got my goggles on. 13.
13.
Pretty bad.
It's better than my nun.
You look over and you can see Eleanor is like trying to pull something out of her eye.
To find a place to land.
As you're looking down, you turn over and you're like, what's going on? And suddenly you hear very, very quickly before it happens, because you cannot be surprised, I believe, right?
Yes.
So you hear this, and it gets right in your eye, like a little bug. You have to kind of like wink that out. It like gets right into the crease between your goggle, and you have to like pull your goggles off and like drink this out. You cannot see in the darkness really below. But at this point, Shay comes up. She leans over. So rolling terribly for Shay with a 23. Because she has amazing perception.
Yeah.
That's actually just a little bit
decent perception.
23 is a little bit above her passive.
Yeah.
Shay
is just like
2 points above her passive.
Forever.
Yeah, and you can see, so as Shay does this, she does pull out these golden goggles. You can see they look almost like a red hawk in terms of these little feathers that have been gilded with like a red metallic thing that you've never really seen before. But when she wears them, they do provide dark vision. And so she looks down, and quickly she's able to point out a spot on the other side of the mountains where you can see these large overcropping rocks that form almost like a land cove. There's like a couple trees, cypress trees, one of them more dead, which would actually provide a lot of firewood, and then 2 or 3 that are very much alive and provide a little cover over top. Even in this clearing, should you sort of do like a cat circle, you'll be able to bring the ship in for a landing. There's a spot big enough that you could even afford to slide a little bit, which for you, perfect.
Gotta drift that landing, you know? All right.
I think it's less about whether you want to and more just kind of what happens. But yeah, without even a roll at this point, as you have been using this craft quite a bit, with a little bit of time, is there anything that you guys want to do before you land?
I guess bracing myself.
That's probably fair.
Yeah, I think I'm probably just getting ready to land.
Yeah. Even as like the ship creaks and you all begin to feel the descent, Brenna, who's like pulled a little sleeping bag on over like on the top of the deck. This is like fine weather for her. You can see even in her sleep, she reaches out and like holds onto the side. So accustomed to these hard landings now. Yeah. The only person not holding on right now is Shay, and that's because she doesn't really have to. She like can't fall.
If she gets lost, she'll just be like,
well, so interesting point. What altitude are you flying?
I'd probably be flying high enough where we wouldn't have to navigate the actual mountain itself, in the sense of like we wouldn't have to constantly adjust.
Okay, yeah.
But not like so high that we're like freezing.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're probably sitting around like 1,200 feet up. Shay would still take damage from this point, but she could survive that.
she could probably like bounce off the like. Do the fucking
as long as she could get to a mountain, yeah, she could run down
to
a mountain.
the closest spot of the mountain, do a little flip, and just start running down.
She could straight run down a mountain. It doesn't take any of that.
I know, but you should do it because that would be cool.
Yeah, monks are absurd.
Full of land.
All right.
Sorry about your
together.
speaker, Doss. It's but Doss went to mobile and it sounds fine, so it probably is the speaker.
Oh, okay.
So feel better about that.
Okay. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like pretty much maxed out on the Scarlet now.
The ship descends, and as it does, end over end, you feel the mountains come up a little bit more and more before it's almost as if they're embracing you, and you are in not the mountains proper, but these almost kind of foothills where the rocks form these overcrops. And as you come in for a landing, relatively smoothly. None of you need to make any special rolls. It is still, you hit the ground and it is a little rough, but you come in for a landing without any problems.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get some metal, reinforce the bottom, and then we'll just.
You just need some wheels in the bottom.
On the list of things that I want to be working on, it's like fixing up my arm and then fixing the ship to make it more, I guess, crash resistant.
Fair enough. Yeah,
Like
that's a great idea.
skis.
I'm thinking like some skis or maybe some
The
sort
most
of like
confused hovercraft of
some
all time.
wheels that kind of like go up into compartments.
So I'm giving you guys a
the
cool
deck.
flying ship, and you guys are going to make it into a duck boat.
Nice.
I mean,
we could do tours.
Flying duck boat.
Ducks can fly.
Yeah, but like duck boats can't fly.
That's fair. So that's fair.
The future is now.
2024.
Yeah.
Flying dope.
We could just become DuckTales.
Yeah. True. Not a sponsor. So you have all landed, and around you here. Let me these sounds out a little bit here. You all find yourself in this nice little rock enclosing, grass on the ground, a little bit of dew, and you had not seen this prior, but you can see to the south there is elements of a storm rolling in. It's going to miss you where you are now, but had you passed over the valley directly, you would be flying through a storm at about this point.
Okay. Good thing that we landed then.
Yeah, and even from this distance, off in the distance, you can hear thunder, but no rain, no special wind around you.
Right, so I guess we'll just set up camp.
Aka's just gonna start setting up camp. Yeah.
It was a fine landing.
Thank you.
Aka is setting up camp.
Yeah. So you take a little bit of time. You set up a camp, which includes your tents, a little fire, whatever it is that you want to set up.
Probably build it downwind of the ship.
That's a great idea. You take a moment, kind of feel it out, and in this place, because the rocks all do rise up, it's almost like dead.
Yeah.
It's fairly safe, but you still seeing a place where the rocks separate and you can walk out into the plains beyond. You build it away from that so that any kind of wind tunnel effect isn't going to pull the fire into the ship. No problem.
Yeah, build a decent camp, and then I get back to just working and thinking and trying to sitting in the fire.
Sure. In the fire.
By the fire.
You do all this really carefully, and you're like, okay. Yeah, sure.
Practicing my fire resistance.
That's how it works. If I keep stabbing myself a little bit more every day, I'll build up piercing resistance. You establish camp.
Yeah, like that king who drank poison a little bit every day.
Yeah, that's how it works for any damage type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depression for long enough gives you resistance to psychic damage. Oh man, I would be invulnerable at this point.
I think Aka's probably getting.
Yeah, probably. So with the camp established, you all, what do you want to do? It is the evening. It is easy enough to fast forward. You want to set up watch. Brenna and Shay are more than happy to stay up and establish a watch.
I think I would just do my 4 hours and then be passively doing the work that I would want to be doing.
Okay. So Shay will take the first 4 hours.
Okay. Yeah, and then I would probably do my 4 hours after that and then just be up, and I could keep watch the rest of the time.
Sounds good.
Right.
Is there anything you all are doing before settling down for the night?
I'm gonna start making a little thing.
Okay.
I'm going to transform some bamboo in my arm that I normally do. I'm gonna cut off a small little piece off my arm and try to bend it around in like a circle.
Okay.
And as you can see, I'm mostly kind of getting. I think I probably have a little bit of twine that I've twined around and just tying off the circle part of it. And as you can see, I'm taking the twine at the part of where I join the two parts of the circle, and I'm kind of wrapping it around the circle in a fashion. And that's as far as you can see at this moment.
Okay, sure, yeah. So you begin your arts and crafts, the Oakfeld Arts and Crafts Special, for your downtime activity. Anything for you, Eleanor?
I have a set of cartographer's tools,
Sure.
and I'm going to try to practice on a separate piece of paper looking at the map that we have. And she was never the navigator, but she's like, I'll just try doing some inspired by Oakfield's Arts and Crafts. Maybe I'll try to learn how to be a better map maker.
Sure. So you take a little bit of time to work on that, and you find a little area, and you're like, I'll just copy this part, and you work on some of it. Go ahead and make a sleight of hand check.
Sure. You reliable talent.
All rogues are pretty good at arts and crafts for that reason, actually.
The arts and crafts.
Yeah, if you're a rogue, you can always
this
start a
map,
side hustle.
Aka copied off of a shittier map that someone made for us at the Lorebinders Academy.
This isn't like a shittier version. She is very excitable, but she's
Oh
good at
no,
her
no,
job.
no, I know. But I'm saying like Akka then went and made like
Oh yeah,
a version that was more artistic and like had been working on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, no problem. You can do that for a little bit.
As you see, you can look closer and see that Oakfield, it looks like a little bit of a spider's pattern. He's probably using the twine as the vines of the weeping willow. And it's kind of making this like spiderweb pattern around the circle of the wood, of the bamboo wood.
Are you making a dream catcher?
Like a
Yes, exactly.
Amazing.
Yes.
Okay, great. Love
And as he, should I roll to make the dream catcher?
So I was just going to wait until you finished describing what you were doing and then have you roll to see how well it's stuck together. So yeah.
Yeah, there's only one other part that he has to do, and that's like the small little parts.
leaves and a pine
Yeah.
cone
Yeah.
and shit.
So as you put together that final part, you create these little elements of different kind of nature, whatever it is.
There's one additional part. I'm gonna go up to both the two party members because I imagine Shay and Hannah are asleep at this moment.
Okay.
And I'm gonna ask them.
For this to protect us, I need an item that you hold sacred, but not sacred enough for you to miss it.
I'm trying to think as Joe, what would that be for me? I'm like,
Yeah.
I really like the certain color paint, but I don't know if I would miss it necessarily.
Maybe your second favorite lucky shirt or something. I don't want to take their their family medallion or something like that.
Eldred kind of just takes out a non-complete deck of cards and it's just like, here's a card, I guess.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna take the card. I'm gonna put it on one of the bottom parts of the Dreamcatcher, and I'm gonna go up to Akka.
Akka, do you have anything to contribute to which will protect us?
No, I'm not giving you a trinket. What? No. I walk away.
Okay.
Is there anything on the ship of when Akka was tinkering with his arm that I could find that maybe got part of it?
Make an investigation check.
Like a loose screw or something.
I like how Oakfeld is doing voodoo, basically.
What is this goo on the ground?
I rolled a 3, so probably not.
A 3.
Violent shits.
Yeah, unfortunately, you don't find anything.
Actually, it's probably fortunate you would have found the fucking poison.
Yeah, no, you don't find anything of Akka's necessarily.
He'll come around, Oakfield.
Yeah. I think I'll still, at that point, I'll hold off on it being complete.
Okay.
But I'm still going to hang it up at the time being.
Okay.
And put it over on a little campsite. And,
This will protect us.
Roll a D100.
oh, jeez.
Do you need percentiles?
I got a 80, and then I need a 10. 83.
83. So you hang up this little dream catcher made out of bamboo and twine. And at the bottom, lonely, there hangs a little card.
Do you know what card it was?
You can look at it, right?
I just
she's the one who gave it to me.
I just pulled a random one out.
Okay.
So we'll go
Roll
with.
roll a D52.
You don't have one? Huh? You don't have a D52? I guess you could do a 52-sided dice with colored facets that indicate the different suits, and then different numbers, and then that's ridiculous. I bet that exists.
Let's go with the 8 of Hearts because that's the first thing I thought of.
Okay. The 8 of Hearts.
Okay. So the 8 of Hearts, you can see every time the wind blows in the night, this faint little bit of wind in the space, the 8 of Hearts just turns. It turns and turns, and you find sleep eventually. Akka, during your watch, one of the only things of any real peculiarity that happens is you notice where this bamboo thing hangs, and where are you hanging it from, actually?
We're under like a campfire. Are we like right next to the tree? The ship, I mean?
No, the campfire was made specifically away from the ship. Yeah, it's closest to one of the dead cypress tree.
Okay, yeah, then a tree would work as well. Okay. Yeah, that's my second thought.
So over that time, you see this dead tree, the branch that it hangs from. First, it's almost impossible to see, and it's like a trick of the eyes. But then you're almost positive there's insects on that tree. And you go over, you take a look, and it's not insects, but you see right on the edge of the branch a few new blooms of buds. And looking at it, this tree is very much dead. You go to one of the other branches, you crack off a bit of the wood, dry as a bone. This has been dead probably for at least a year. And yet on that branch it grows. Over the course of the night, the thunder does get a little bit closer, but you feel the storm pass to the south. Again, very grateful as you hear rain, thunder, lightning. You hear and even feel this far away gusts of winds, probably bordering on like hurricane force. But the night passes without issue. And all of you can mark off a long rest if you want.
Nice.
I don't want to.
I refuse.
I like being tired. As the morning dawns, you all wake up, with the exception being you, Akka, who's already awake. Oakfeld, as you come to, you can see there's a number of tiny little green leaves off the dead cypress tree. Baby green, and even there you can see beginning to kind of wither. This is a dead tree, it's not going to support them. But for what it's worth, off of this thing that you placed the Dreamcatcher on, you did create some semblance of life.
Is anyone else awake at this moment?
Yeah, everybody's awake at this point.
Start packing up camp.
Sure.
I probably will actually just be monologuing to myself as in Oakfeld fashion, but also saying it to everyone else too.
I'm just packing everything up, and Oakfeld is just like giving his morning sermon.
Yeah.
I'm just like, God, fucking this guy, this fucking guy. I'm packing up camp, and he's just fucking standing there.
As the greatness of the sun god greets us, so too does Lamore's gift greet us on this bountiful gift of nature, a sign of things to come. Do you not see what my creation has brought?
I was just kind of like solemnly like nodded, just like, how this? Okay, I mean that's really cool, Phil. Like, did you have something on the?
I
No one else
made it with my two hands and no magic.
Wow,
But
that's beautiful.
there was help from a lovely otherwise.
And then you're going to be like, but there was the magic of faith.
Oh my god, I just like pats Oakville on the shoulder, like, thanks. Eleanor's also just not helping. she's been like just sitting listening to Oakville, specifically not helping. Like, okay.
Yeah, no, you're the manager. No problem. So, Akka, you take some time to pack up the camp. By about 9 in the morning, it is getting a little bit warmer, getting close to 70 degrees today, and the thunder, which I'm going to turn off right now, is no longer present. If you would like, you guys can take off and continue your journey.
Yeah, Akka's just like, let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's go. Thanks for helping me pack. Let's fucking go.
Akka's saying this from the ship as you guys are all eating these like really shitty dried rations that he, for some reason, insists upon eating. And you join him aboard the ship with no real trouble. You guys can take off.
So, Eleanor's goal today is to slightly turn the ship. Not enough that it would be really noticeable unless someone's really paying attention.
Sure.
But enough that it will slow us down a little bit.
Okay, yeah, no problem. You are the only person in the world who can make the ship move. And so nobody really notices a slight adjustment. As the wings on the side of the craft flap up and down, they do move the ship a little side to side. And so a little adjustment makes very little difference. Okay. If you didn't feel I would say over the course of your understanding of the ship, the connection that you make to it, the only thing you could think to compare it to, and this can make you feel however you want to have it feel, it's almost like the soul of the ship. And as you connect to it, if you couldn't feel it adjust to your will, you wouldn't even feel the change at all. But you can do that no problem. And you move a little further north than truly to the east. No problem. After a little bit, you don't end up south of Nature's Pride. You come up a little north. And off to your north, which is the port side of the ship, you can see a large body of water. This is the Farwater Lock. You can see to the north now, and this you're not over it. You can see it like to the north a little bit now. You're in the valley that it's in. You can see like a little bridge. You see primarily in this space buildings far away, which are the Lorebinder Academy. A huge yellow drift globe, although actually now orange, floats above the main campus building, and you can see it cast a slight magical light as a cloud goes overhead.
Does that have any significance?
So the last time that you were there, when Heinrich was made a Lorebinder, it was orange rather than yellow because it manifests a slightly more protective field than the yellow one did. It also closes off certain elements of the campus. You would remember all of the Lorebinders now wearing armor and a different kind of uniform because this is a wartime scenario.
Right.
And so as we get back into like open fields where Ellen can see a little bit better, she's gonna look to see if there are actually any undead.
Make a
around
perception
here.
check, sure.
That's not reliable, Alan, is it? No. Right?
For a perception check?
Yeah.
I believe it is.
Is it?
Are you proficient in a...
I am, but I'm not like the second level of it.
You would have to check and see if it's expert. I thought it was proficiency.
I think it's proficiency, but I just wanted.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
The bug flies around your eye.
So I've been rolling particularly shitty, and I'm like,
you rub the bug out of your eye again. You're like, wait a second.
Okay.
It's very buggy up here.
Let me double check really quick, but I'm pretty sure that reliable talent does in fact give you that ability.
Ooh.
What's up, Peep?
Whenever you make an ability check that lets you add your proficiency bonus, you are proficient, so you can you treat that as a 10.
Okay, dope. So it's a 15.
15.
Yeah.
You look down beneath you. It is morning and the sun is out. There are clouds here and there in the sky, but you feel pretty confident as you look down that you're getting a good picture of what's beneath. On the one road that runs close to this bridge that goes over the River of Colors to the south of the Lorebinder campus, you can see there are like carts, there are people on the roads. You don't see any undead. And as you look over the course of the first like half hour, not a single one.
Looks like the undead haven't made it this far east.
Well, probably don't need to yet.
Do we know where they're coming from? Like, is there a source?
Presumably it was the Kuatar Badlands where Zystrees was.
Perhaps there are multiple sources.
Was there talk of any coming from more north of Dungannon? It's always been from down like by the gated marsh and stuff.
I thought it was from the
Kuatar
west.
Badlands?
That's the west, right?
No.
So from where you are now, it would be west.
Right.
Yeah, the west of
We're
Dungannon.
No. So the west of
that's the
Dungannon is the
ocean.
ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Dungannon is
were
right there on the
down
map. You
here.
can see it,
Yeah.
and the Emerald
Yeah.
Expanse is the ocean to the west. You guys came into Dungannon from the west, or sorry, from the east, and so
The dead are coming this way towards Dungannon.
correct. That's
Okay,
so
that's what
the
I
east
meant.
is over here. Yes.
That's what I meant. Yes.
Yes. So from the east, they are traveling west.
Yeah.
And they're coming out of elements of the Sunchoker chain, as well as the Gated Marsh.
Okay. Yeah, we're none here. So, I wonder if Zeistree says let's hold over here.
Oh, he's gone now. To
Aka, make a history check.
history.
You just know a little bit more about this region in the world.
Do I?
That's a good question, actually.
That's a 12. I'm gonna throw out my first flash of genius of the day.
That's a good one. You think a little bit about what you know about the layout of the
So it's a
geography.
17.
Yes. Thank you. Appreciate the math. So you've been to actually, I don't know if you have been to 1,000 Gates, but you definitely traveled by it by ship. 1,000 Gates is a massive military/city that is hundreds of gates that go up to a central wall that separate the gated marsh from the everything basically off to the east. Because there is that massive military, and you've heard about undead attacks being repelled by them, that is probably more likely why there are fewer undead to the east.
Right.
There is probably large-scale battles happening there.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so the gated marsh is another source, seemingly. But I think we can't worry about that. We have to keep going towards Nocturne.
Well, it's partially for practical reasons. If there are undead left and right around here, it will make camping very difficult. And also could affect our path depending on what kind of undead.
Well, our best bet is to keep staying high up, and that limits most of the chance of undead encounter. But as you said before, I am worried about dragons now.
I worry for the people of Dungannon. Perhaps one day the undead will make an attack on that city.
Let's hope not. Let's hope we have a little bit more time before that happens. I mean, ostensibly, eventually, they probably will.
Yeah, we gotta keep going. And
Are you gonna push the wind as you go? What are you doing there?
I'm gonna use a fan out.
Yeah. So you guys continue.
frustratedly like, yes, we have to do the thing.
Good. We're going to pass by Port Quinn, or at least be near it. Did you have any contacts there that we could get anything from while we're
I've never
nearby?
been to Port
You've
Quinn,
never been
right?
to Port Quinn.
No, I have never even
I haven't been to
Port
anywhere.
You literally lived on one part of a mountain for hundreds of years in a different plane of existence.
So I've probably been to Port Quinn more than anyone else. On
Yeah,
this
oh, for
ship.
sure, yeah.
Have you been there once?
Yes.
You've been there more than everyone else on the ship.
Nice. Cool. Let's just keep sailing.
There you go.
We're on the way.
You begin turning more and more south. How much are you looking to delay?
Like, enough where it's like... It's basically Eleanor's like dragging her feet mentally.
Yeah.
So...
I'm thinking like, all right, 3 to 4 days. If we're not there, like,
maybe
something's up.
a half day. Enough where it's like she can delay it a little
You're
bit.
adding
but not-
hours, not days.
Yeah,
Okay,
not
sure.
so much that like, because she also like understands that this is kind of a big deal that we do things at a decent
Yeah,
timetable.
yeah,
But
yeah.
she also doesn't really want to go.
Okay.
Aka doesn't want to go either, but he's just like,
Yeah, but he's not the one controlling the ship.
no, I
is
know
he?
exactly. That's
I have no understanding of time, only seasons.
he's just like standing at the front of the ship, tapping his toe, like.
After about 6 hours, you're going to reach an element that is these huge, jutting, what looks almost like a stone fist of mountains that in really strange angles look like they're almost closing around an element of ground. And you can see that is the Idlewild, or the mountains that kind of hold the Idlewild to the north. As you see those rising up, you can choose to continue going south beyond that, or if you want, you can kind of peel out and head more towards the ocean, which would bring you a little south of Port Quinn over elements of the woods known as the Shaded Woods, or the Misty Thicket, depending on how south you go.
Okay.
Which you would know as Gunter is where you began your adventure session 1.
All comes full circle.
Yeah.
So, judging by this, how high do the peaks of like the hand go? Would it be difficult to kind of maneuver around them? Or?
No, you could go over them. You know, you're looking at probably about 1,400 feet to get over the peaks of those, and then the valley kind of opens up beneath you, and there's almost nothing in terms of obstacles there. Right around until you actually cross back over the Sunchoker Chain to the south. But if you're heading to Nocturne, you don't need to do that. You can just skirt around the coast. You could go over the Idlewild, whatever you want, really.
So I'm thinking that we kind of head this way, and then right around here is where we should probably consider becoming a boat, just so we aren't potentially pulling down the attention of if there is any navy close to Nocturne. I don't know how far out they're going to be doing patrols, but the closer that we get to,
Yeah, the more likely that there is already some activity on the sea.
yeah. I mean, I'm assuming the ship is roughly the same speed in water as
Yeah,
in air.
yeah.
So we won't really be losing
What is its
time.
swim speed?
Give me a second. Do you have did I give you a card for it?
I have the ship's.
Yeah, that should have it there.
The speed is half when it's in water,
Oh, there you go. So
so it is normally 3 miles per hour, 72 miles a day.
Okay.
So yeah, you would be losing a little bit of time, but really not enough. Not enough. It would be hours, not a substantial amount of time.
Okay.
So that's my current plan. We'll kind of bisect the Idlewild, but
As long as we're not suspiciously late, Aka's just gonna be like doing his thing.
Sure. So after those 6 hours pass, you bring the altitude up a little bit. You caress almost just on the side one of these little stone fingers, and you can see near the top there are all kinds of beautiful mosses and lichens that themselves flower. And you can see blues, purples, yellows, whites, all tracing in almost like vines, but really you can see it's running moss down elements of the stone where it connects to the grass below. Barely able to see the grass below, just really a green screen. You can see also in the Idlewild now roughly about noon, with the sun overhead. You see not a ton, mostly white and yellow, but little wildflowers that run across large swaths of area here. This is a part of you've never been here in the spring, but after another couple weeks, this place comes into bloom in a way that every couple of weeks the primary color of the valley changes. It is modeled after a real place in India, I think, but it is this beautiful place. Right now you can see a large number of wildflowers. You can see there are grasslands and small creatures. Make a perception check as you enter into this area, though.
missed twice. That's okay. Perception's 15.
15. With a 15, you look around, and as you pass, you don't notice any especially noteworthy activity. Nothing that really kind of pulls your attention. You don't see hunts happening at the moment. But no problem. You do, as you pass, notice, I believe...
Yeah, so you're going to pass over the agricultural area that is Bluefield. And Bluefield is it is a very small town within the Kingdom of Sarentil, but quite small. It is primarily known for exporting flowers. It grows all species of wildflowers, some of which have alchemical uses, magical uses, but most of which are just sold for show. There are lots of beautiful flowers that are exported from around Bluefield. So as you go beneath, there are these huge rows and triangles that are just orange or yellow or purple. And you can see all variety of different flowers. For you, Oakfeld, in particular, as you enter into this place in the very beginning of spring, you can smell the smell of all different kinds of plants beginning to awaken beneath. Just off the top of your head, like dozens of different flowers emerge in your mind as things that might be coming from here. You, in the next 6 or so hours, you guys can make your way further south to the point at which you would want to start turning towards the ocean, given your previous path. That's going to put you at getting close to where the sun is beginning to set, right around 6 o'clock in the afternoon. You're going to begin to sort of see underneath, because you guys wanted to skirt Soon's gift so as not to fly over it, correct? Mm-hmm. So you guys would make it almost to the ocean, right around to the coastline, right around 6 o'clock in the afternoon. You still have a couple of hours left of flying. You can see now sandy beaches beneath you. Off to the east, you see beech trees and other closer to the ground. And here, where the wind actually hits a lot more, you can see the trees growing almost sideways, like bushes, kind of across and then up. Are you guys going to continue along the beach? Or are you heading over the water? Or what is your intent here?
So I'm going to kind of look out and see if I can see if there's any, like, ship activity.
Make another perception check, yeah. How's that look?
Not good.
It's a natural one. With 15 total, technically.
So many bugs.
It's a huge field of gnats at 1,400 feet for some reason.
Like a locust.
Ellen's gonna I'm gonna look out for ships, and then she kind of goes into like a mental just go somewhere else for a while.
Dissociate, yeah. You look out, and all of a sudden you just hear this. This is a duck hits you full on. You look down, and as you do, all that can come to mind is what you're approaching. You think about where you last left that relationship off, and knowing what you know about Brita, if she has had time to kind of rise to a position of power here, this is going to be a dangerous place for you. And Brita is not somebody who forgives very easily. So that's something that really pulls your attention out of the rest, and you don't notice any kind of ship activity. You see some seagulls. Anybody else? At this point now, the sun beginning to set. It is getting darker. You see the waves off and to your left. The land passing off and to your right. If you wanted, you could land in the ocean and kind of begin by being able to take rests and stuff as you are at sea.
I'm just working on my arm until we land, and then I'm going to make camp and, rinse, repeat till we get there.
Sure.
Eleanor's probably just going to autopilot probably and just go to sea.
Sure.
So unless anyone makes any suggestions, otherwise she's going to go just kind of do it.
Aka's just sitting at the front
So.
I'm probably doing the dog out the window kind of thing. But my hand is out into the wind trying to reach down.
Oh, you're doing the...
Yeah. That too. But it's in a way that I'm trying to reach out and feel the seagrass beneath the ocean.
Okay. So as you go down into the ocean, before you even this is when you're in the water or before?
Both, a little bit to
Okay.
both, yeah.
So as you begin to get lower and lower, and the ocean is no longer just a blanket of blue, but you can actually see elements of waves and little bits of white on the crests. You see the birds now in a little bit better detail. You hold your hand out and imagine what might be beneath.
And for somebody who's never been to the ocean or seen it, or even really heard of it, it is hard to comprehend that there could be green beneath so much
But I can
blue.
feel it.
But there is elements that you can feel. And at this, let's see, where are you in the ocean? You guys are in the short sea. What you're feeling, not really corals or things of a tropic nature. There is beneath you at this, well, you know what? Go ahead and make a perception check.
I was gonna say, like, how many jellyfish?
You sense 13 jellyfish. Now 7, now 14, now 1. You're
Just imagine,
flying
like,
over.
Jersey Shore.
27.
20, you said what?
26.
Okay.
Nice.
You hold your hand out and close your eyes. Make a wisdom saving throw, too.
Oh my gosh.
8.
Okay. You look out and you hold your hand out, and for just a moment, there is that high-pitched ringing in your ears, and you look around. You don't see any seabirds, but something's watching you. You can't shake that feeling. But your hand held out, you do feel elements of deep, deep kelp forests. You're over a part of the ocean that is not tropical. There are deeper, colder currents here. And so the plant life, relatively plain. You sense large creatures kind of moving beneath the waves here and there. Relatively natural creatures. Yeah, there's no dragon turtles on the short sea. It's a relatively narrow or shallow ocean compared to the Emerald Expanse. But you that's what you sense. And as you get closer and closer, now much closer, you can feel like the foam of the ocean and the actual salt air. You can hear the birds and that kind of a thing. And before too long, you land the ship in the water proper. 1 second here.
Brace myself instinctively.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so you now within the actual water, you land right around when it gets dark, and so the water transitions from that deep, deep navy to almost blackness. And as you sail, are you guys creating any light sources or anything like that, or?
I don't think I would until like time to stay warm.
Okay.
Is it warm? Is it like it's melting? So
It's about 70 degrees. Yeah, it's
yeah,
relatively
so it's
pleasant.
comfortable. We don't need to make a fire. I'll just eat my. I mean, if someone else does, I'm not gonna stop them. But I'm not gonna make a fire.
Okay.
Just eating my jerky.
Sure.
Eating my month-old rations.
Yeah,
We don't have a flag, do we?
you do not. The closest thing to a flag right now is this big sail in the back. You can see, so presently, this is like the closest thing that you have to a flag.
Is that going to be a problem?
Well, we are a unallied ship going to port the first time in the middle of uncertain times. It just might make things complicated.
So, what do you suggest?
You don't have any way of changing the colors of things, do you? Does anyone?
I like how you looked at me like I'm gonna know. This is your character.
Like I have
man.
my paint and
I
shit,
built
but
a whole world.
I can't paint a ship with my paint kit, my supplies.
The whole ship would be a stretch.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. So
mean,
now I'm
are you
looking at my
doing Are you
spells.
doing the whole ship or just like a flag?
Just like, I'm thinking part of the sail, just so we can
Okay.
have some sort of like pretend allegiance to something.
I can probably. Can I
can produce-
digitate that?
Pigment from whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
It-
Flower.
Read prestidigitation. You
You make a color. I could make a symbol appear on an object, so I could probably put like a symbol on the back sail
Okay. Okay. Okay.
for 1 hour, and it's only 1 cubic foot.
Less helpful.
I could probably make
So it
a
could be like a small symbol.
blue dye from.
I could. I mean, if we have a piece of cloth, I can just paint something on it.
Eleanor's just kind of like pacing the ship and just thinking, like,
I'm
okay.
looking if I have like a big cloth canvas somehow in my sack, like my rucksack.
Do you? You have a tent.
I'm looking. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's
Yeah.
like I have a tent. That's probably the best thing that I could use to make it into a flag.
Eleanor kind of turns to Aqua and Shay and be like, you guys, the lore binders, the monks, do they have any ships, any symbols, anything we can fly under? I should have thought about this
The lore
before.
binders do have the lore binders
wanna-
specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily want to fly as the lore binders. I think we should try to be something more innocuous.
The lore, you would know a little bit about the lore binders. They're a pretty major academic association, mostly known for staying as like a neutral group for political reasons and for really funding reasons. They also don't have any ships. They're a landlocked group that they have like some small like river ships that they use to navigate the Farwater Lock. But
The collective wouldn't have ships either, right?
you guys have a ship.
Right.
Yes.
But
You don't want to fly back to Dungannon to get a ship. I mean, you could do a Dungannon Antiquities Collective flag. It is not
it
that.
would cause more problems that I don't want to deal with.
Yes, Dungannon and Sarentil do not have friendly relations. They're not at war by any means, but they're very suspicious of each
I'm
other.
not trying to. What about like, can we fly as a merchant ship or sail as a merchant ship or something?
Eleanor's gonna kind of rack her brain to figure out, like, if she could either think of a merchant ship that would be, like,
The small.
ambiguous enough, where in the
private
small,
merchant or
where it would be
something?
like, it would make sense that this tiny ass ship with no cargo space.
Why don't we say
a
we're
flat
from?
intelligence check.
Why don't we say we're from Darby or something?
If you need colors,
And
yeah.
the ship is an exotic ship because it's so far away. You've never seen ships like this before.
that's what I
It's a
was thinking.
beautiful thing. This ship.
11.
An 11.
I'm not very smart.
Yeah, hard to think about what would be good for that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We need a plan. We need to cover. We need.
All right.
I cannot
I
be on
think
this
we
ship.
go with this.
So the only immediate
you-
thought I would have would be to.
Hide below deck.
I mean, I could be here, but I, Eleanor, cannot be here.
What exactly is going to be the outcome if you encounter Brita? In your opinion?
I would probably be murdered
Okay, so
and possibly made an example of in front of
Okay.
many people.
on a scale of
Maybe a lightning
like,
strike.
how
I don't know.
how intimidatingly powerful was she prior to now having one of the phylacteries of Zeistrus, presumably?
You remember when you killed all those things with the lightning?
I'm like,
That whole streak of.
so much has happened, and that's like not something that he was like, yes, this is a precious memory. So I'm like,
Eleanor's limited experience of
kinda
watching magic. No, but like, so here's the thing. If we get seen by any of her, or if anyone of the crew that might still be around and recognizes me, we will probably be attacked. Definitely attacked. The ship itself was full of all manner. I mean, we had half orcs, we had half giants, we had.
okay, so ignoring the fact that we don't have a flag yet, or at least something to make as a neutral flag that won't raise suspicion, what is your plan for you personally? Because, to be honest with you, it seems like a liability and can't really afford this right now.
So,
I already have enough
When
liability.
we started this, I was told I got to fly a ship.
Yes.
The rest of this has just been kind of making it up as I go. I'm not excited about going back to Nocturne. I'm not excited about seeing.
Okay, so stay on the ship and lay low.
I
one's asking
have
you.
the hat, right?
Okay.
Mr. Gift gave me this, and she kind of like makes herself
Yes.
look like just a random ruffian, just like very haggard. Probably
Like suddenly just a homeless Quaker Oats man.
Yeah.
right. So
Yes.
I can
Okay.
in that front we can get somewhere.
Is
worry.
there someone who would be able to see through that?
I mean, if Mr. Gift was right, and they are allied with the Silent Hand?
The
Silent Circle?
Circle. Dang it, I was like so close.
Silent Circle.
The Silent Circle.
The Circle of Silence. If we're
Circle
using
of
their
Silence.
title correctly, yes.
Okay.
Circle of Silence.
If they are allied with the Circle of Silence.
The smiley face.
Who knows what? I mean, the captain herself, I mean, if she was looking, probably. I mean, probably. But I also, I don't know.
But wouldn't it be as much of a danger to leave you on the ship?
See, I worry, like, this whole thing is going to be a shit show. That's kind of unavoidable. The question is, how much of a shit show and how long we can delay this shit show. Let's be real. So I'm hoping we can go to one of the taverns, maybe make it that far, get off the docks, at least, before we're drawn and quartered.
So we need a flag.
I think it would be it is something that I wish I had thought about earlier, but we're a random ship, right?
I'm thinking, like, is there anything that I know about with my limited sailing knowledge? I could have been a pirate. Oh, I could have been a pirate so bad.
Yeah. You could have been Gleb right now.
Akka had wanted to be a pirate so bad at one point because he was like, these mud brothers, but then they were assholes and he was like, oh, fuck.
It's a common thread amongst pirates, funnily enough.
But yeah, he's been spurned by the pirate life once before.
So my concern is that, like, when we went to Dungan and we sailed in, we had to, pay and sign a register saying who we were and why we were there and blah 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 blah. Right. So going into Nocturne, they have a similar sort of setup where people notice people going in. Right. Especially in a ship. We need something. Having
easier to find a place to dock outside of Nocturne and then go by foot?
might be less noticeable. That would probably keep the ship out of.
Is there, along the coast, as far as I know, is there anywhere where, like, we could, like, a cove or a cave somewhere
Make a history check.
that we could,
I mean, sneaking into Nocturne.
Prior to you losing a lot of the memories from being in Nocturne, I would say certainly you would know.
Okay, history, though, that's still a 22.
Okay. From Nocturne.
That's memories of Nocturne that I have from the history books that I had to read.
Nocturne is a really interesting place. It's a massive, massive city with many levels.
Yeah.
So, two things come to mind. First of all, within the Three Tides Accord quarter, not in the docks proper, but a little bit to the north, there is a fairly well-known element of grottos that the ocean water passes into at high tide, and that's used for a lot of smuggling operations. It's relatively easy to get to the Avenue of Everdusk from there, and so it's a pretty popularly used place.
I'm thinking, like, further up outside
So
of,
to the
like,
south of Nocturne, there's a little beach that
has like a fairly deep ocean going into it, and it's relatively safe to get larger craft onto the beach there. There are small coves and little inlets where you could maybe bring a boat in, and considering yours flies,
It might be
especially
easier.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we find a small cove south of the city proper, because again, we can't afford to make any mistakes here.
Would Eleanor know of any other way into the city besides like the legal ways?
Certainly, yeah. So when you think about other ways into the city, oh boy. Okay.
I'm thinking like her
sewer
default would probably her default thought would probably be like the sewers, but she's also like, ew, the sewers.
So certainly the sewer system
Sounds good in theory, but then
the sewer system in Nocturne is virtually non-existent.
Yeah.
There's a lot of waste collection that occurs. It's not a great smelling city, especially the lower levels. That being said, there are elements of like storm drains and things like that that are gross, and they're small. They're sized for the kobolds that maintain them, not really for like humanoids. But you guys could crawl through the sewers, certainly. Additionally, when you think about Nocturne, specifically you. So, beneath the Dreamer's Den, which is an opium den, essentially, there is a lower hidden dock. It is sized for rowboats, and it is how they get their little supply in to what is otherwise just a lounge. The Yellow Banner Trade House, where, of course, the Yellow Banners work out of. That has a hidden area that you could access south of the city. There is within the Quarter of Law, which you may or may not want to get into. This is the only place that is within Sarentil's specific reach. This is the kingdom's seat of control for the entire city, as it were. And so maybe not the best place to get into, but underneath the Whisper Factory, which is a tavern that is especially known for kind of discreet meetings and handoffs and giving missions that need a little bit more discretion, as there are enchantments in place in the tavern that keep volume very low. Below there is a point to access from west of the city. There's like a hidden area within the forest. Give me a second.
There's the Tidewise Gambling Den.
The Tidewise Gambling Den is on the
Circle
third
of
floor.
Silence, right?
They perhaps
Or
back
Daffodil?
that. Yes, they seem to financially back that. But those are the things that you would know.
Yeah.
Actually, one more thing. You would recognize, having heard a little bit about it. Sorry, I have to scroll down my 30-page document here.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, we can go check out Calico Amir again.
Certainly could.
He could help us. Yeah.
The Sunken Stories. The 4 levels of the Three-Tided Chords area is sunken beneath the ocean. You can get there, actually, from there you can get directly to the Madrock, and you can get directly to the Quarter of Law by way of the sewer system, unfortunately. But getting into the Sunken Stories itself, you have to dive beneath, and there are many entrances, owing to the various windows, doorways, things that once connected to an additional level of the docks that now also rest beneath the sea.
Okay. So during Eleanor has not stopped frantically pacing this entire time. She kind of finally stops, points out, can you make drugs?
What?
Or can you make something that appears to be drugs?
Can I?
How are you going to do it?
I don't know. I have like proficiency with alchemy's tools.
So depending on what you have available, perhaps.
I could perhaps turn into a variation of
what?
one of the fermenting
For the first time.
tribes of the apple.
Shay actually kind of steps forward. She's listening to everything. But she says, what kind of drugs?
So, thinking, right? There is an entrance underneath the opium den, right? So, if we go and, pretend to be a couple of misfits, perhaps trying to get into Nocturne, maybe if we had something to trade, something to buy our way through.
Shay holds out a little painting. It's of, actually, interesting to you, it is a half-orc admiral. Although you do not recognize them, having talked to Brita enough, they wear garb from the Sunrest Islands, where Brita roll a d20. Let's see how much you know about Brita's roots.
Well, 14.
Brita is of a people from an island in the Sunrest Islands called the Stonewild. They are a very proud people, and this seems to be roughly of that kind of a make, coming from that region.
Okay.
You don't recognize the captain necessarily, but more to the point, Shay turns this frame to the side and slides the back off. And within the back, there's a little glass bottle, and you can see a little chunk of what looks like almost like quartz, although you can see elements of it as she shakes it spark in the bottle. This would probably work.
What is that?
This is Bunta.
Why do you have Bunta? Shay?
Morwen was going to take it.
Okay,
She
so
closes the painting again.
we have. So we do that.
Have you heard of Bunta?
I don't know. I haven't. Me, the player,
yeah.
no.
Make a-
Eleanor, probably.
I just couldn't remember if this was something that came into your notes, because it's something that may have come across Brita's, kind of the things that she sells.
Yeah.
Bunta is essentially wild magic that has been infused into drugs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wild magic drugs.
So depending on the kind that you take, it does temporarily give you access to spell lists that you would not otherwise have access to. It also has some real drawbacks. But I can't remember specifically which one this is. I believe this is the one that gives you the druid powers.
Oh, okay.
It's in my deep notes. But
I think I had one that was sorcerer.
I believe so, yeah.
As Gunter.
I can also just transform into an opium plant.
Sorcerer and maybe a wizard, like
Rude.
one wizard or something.
Then we have to
I came
refine
here with
opium.
my potted opium plant. Can we borrow your refining process? Also, we're just some misfits.
We brought this.
I like how you're coming in with like a full-on Heisenberg
We brought you
operation.
this poppy seed.
Yeah.
By the time you guys get there, you'll have an actual drug operation.
I know, right? So okay, so my thoughts here are we try to kind of like pretend like we're going to make some sort of deal with the opium den, right? The dreamers den, we go and we're like either we are trying to offload some drugs or we are trying to trade for safety in the dreamers den, or maybe just a fun night depending on how you want to play it. Or we could try to swim into three-tided cord section through the sunken
I'm trying to get to the Modrock.
Yeah,
sunken stories.
What's the best way to go about that?
landing in the docks and going
Besides-
into the Madra.
yeah. Well, outside of landing in the docks and going to the Modrock.
For you,
The best
having
way to
just
get there
read
discreetly.
the books and stuff, you don't really know.
But like I live there.
I know. There's most of the hidden ways that you know from the Modrock come from your time with those Goliath gangs. You don't know any of the cool little hidden back alleys. You don't really know, if you pull this mammoth skin aside, there's a hole in the wall that you can climb through. You don't have like the Aladdin routes anymore.
I'm saddened. But like it's in the back of my head and I'm like, I don't know why, but I'm sad.
Oakfield, can you swim?
I can.
Okay. So those are
In
the
his
two-
mind, that means float.
Just a terrified Oakfield just floating.
It's just like
that's.
a log floating
I mean,
down.
we could just sail into the dock, and then just kind of pull something out of our ass while we're there.
Well, if we find a flag that would work, then you can just stay below deck and
I just
use
pretend
your
to be someone
hat.
else, yeah. I just want to be a stowaway.
So the trick is find a ship, pirate them, take their flag.
I was kind of hoping to see like a trading ship that was leaving and like
Maybe just
maybe
copy the
pick up.
flag, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Well,
We're just such a weird ship. We're such a weird
so
ship.
say we're from somewhere far away and
We are the scouting. Oh, I just walked. Hopefully, off
You have the
mic.
sound turned off.
Okay, I was like, oh god, you gave me too much room. I'm flailing fully. Okay, so we are the forward team of a merchant group looking to make a deal in Nocturne.
And what do we sell? Aka's just like,
Eleanor's first thought is just fish, and then she's like about to say fish, and she's kind of like, no, that's the worst thing.
Hi guys from an opium den. Are you looking for fish? Do you want to start up a trade relationship based around fish? Do your opium people get hungry? No, they just kind of sleep. That's weird.
when they wake up, they'll probably want some fish.
Yeah.
I like your idea of pirating, not like pirating another ship.
I like the idea of Oakville saying that up. I like the idea of pirating.
Like just copying someone else's. That's, or maybe we could do something. I don't know. Like, does anyone? I could maybe like conjure an animal that could maybe steal a flag for us. Maybe.
The only flag I know by heart is my family's flag, and that's not going to do shit for us.
Probably can't fly that one because then you'd get murdered.
Or Brita's flag, which is double shit, or the Yellow Banner's flag, which is probably just asking for trouble.
At this point at night, too, you guys are traveling a little bit closer to Nocturne. You guys are entering into what would be called Sedustrial Bay. And this does feed at high tide into Nocturne proper, and at low tide kind of pulls out. And so you are beginning to see, though it is dark, as the moon, what stage of moon are we at here?
How much
We're
moon do
getting
we got?
pretty
Joe?
close to full. Okay, so we're not quite at full yet, but
Waxing crescent.
you're you were actually you were a waxing gibbous, I want to say, 3 days ago. So you guys
gibbous.
you guys are getting close. So at this, I do have moon charts. At this moment, you can see here and there, off in the distance, like little bits of ships, and especially closer to Nocturne, there are a number of ships in the vicinity, kind of leaving and entering.
No.
Aka's just like, I just want to go to Rocks and get some food.
Those are my only ideas.
Those are all great ideas. Whatever you choose, we will follow you.
No, we gotta come up with something that's not gonna get us murdered on sight. God.
I mean, we could sneak in. I guess, okay, first, decision one. Are we sneaking in, or are we bullshitting our way in? Because the opium den and swimming would be sneaking in. The docks is bullshitting our way in.
I mean, it's really a problem that you have to deal. I grew up here. I don't need to sneak into my own home. What if we just...
At this point, Shay turns to you and says, Aka, look at it this way. If we enter this city and we're spotted, we're drawn into combat, and that takes time. We need to move quickly. And so this is important.
I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying, why don't we find a place outside of the city and just walk through the gates and you wear your hat and then we figure it out? Because combat seems like it's inevitable because we need to get this from the person who is your enemy and who is also probably not great for having what she has.
I don't disagree. Do we have a way legally through the gates right now?
I would say that I would prior to her takeover of the city, but
right? We don't know to what extent the city's under arrears. It could be totally fine. We could be able to walk through like any other citizen, or it could be a total shit show. And then Elder's actually going to look at Nocturne at this point.
Make a perception check.
Is there any like obvious signs
make a
of a
perception.
shit show happening currently?
Tire fires.
Banner like, welcome to Nocturne. It's a shit show.
15.
There's poop everywhere. No, from what you can tell, so I would say now you are getting kind of closer.
It's like happy hour.
There are elements of this, of the lights that hang off posts in the bay where you can see there's a couple of ships. There's no like cannon fire happening. You don't see like burning blazes.
Yeah.
But with the 15, and a little bit of time, and as you are sailing in, there is a point where one of the ships passes by one of these posts. And you do notice a very familiar flag, but definitely not Brida's ship. And then you see a smaller ship, maybe something more just designed to work within the bay, also flying Brida's flag. A merchant ship passes. You see one flying the colors of Sarentil, but Brida has certainly networked within this place.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that actually might make things easier. If everyone's under Brida's flag already. Do you think the people at the docks know everyone who's under her flag? We could just bullshit our way in that way.
Minaka's
so
history.
you're
you could
from
probably
here.
deal with
It's a
it.
big district, so
Yeah.
probably
Right.
it would be almost impossible. And prior to events that have occurred over the course of the campaign, in a given day, thousands of people come in and leave through the docks. So, you know.
Unless you got some kind of wanted poster or something.
So we just sail right into the docks and fly her flag?
We fly our flag. Or we fly nothing. And then we go in and then we just say that we are a team of lackeys. We found this cool ship.
I'm gonna look. Are there any other flags that I can see that are coming in now, other than
Make a perception check.
Sarentil and what I would imagine is Brida's
Yes,
flag?
but make a
from-
perception check. So at this point in night, though it is late, there are a number of ships leaving and entering.
Hold on, because I got my goggles. I got a 1
Okay.
and a 19.
Nice. Okay.
So
Save.
26.
Okay. So with the 26, you see a variety of flags. You can see the variety of crosses over a blue field that stand for the Sunrest Islands.
Okay.
You can see the sigil of Colonacria, which is the Citadel of Salt, a dwarven citadel far, far, far to the south in the Sunrest Islands. To the east in the Sunrest Islands, where none of you have really been or had any exposure to, but it's a very strange conglomeration of elves and dwarves. And you can see about a dozen different merchant ships with various flags that probably indicate that they work for different companies. You see one that is a fist holding a heart. It's all painted black with a little viney thorn wrapped around it. You, being from Dominion, have heard of the Blackheart Exploratory Company. All
Are
kinds
there
of
any
ships.
areas outside of the continent that have ships, or any unrecognizable ones, given my knowledge of
Yeah, for sure.
what wouldn't be on Dominion?
Yeah. So you see one that appears to be what looks like a wolf's face. Down the center of it, from the nose going like a triangle here, it's all skull and bone and like bared teeth. And then like a regular, like a black wolf above. No idea what that is. But you would imagine, with the very limited information you have, a sigil of one of the Derby houses. You can see... Let me think about my geography of this world that I built. So you have Dominion, then you have the Sunrest Islands. Up above, you have Derby. You have Mythalstream to the south.
Also, which exterior continent would have, or would be most likely to have, a ship that looked like it could have come from, like our ships could have come from there?
Given what the very limited amount that you know about ships,
I'm like, I gotta figure something out because I don't want to have to deal with this bullshit. I should just be able to go into the front door.
I would say you don't really know, but what you know is in this part of the world, the furthest continents are the Kimpet Islands, which almost nobody even knows about. That's a very exotic location.
Okay, too exotic would raise suspicion.
Sure. Off on the other side of the continent, across everything and then across the Emerald Expanse, there's Everest, which of course relatively common because it's such a large empire. There are ships that come into Everest from time to time, relatively rare. There are things that come from the Kingdom of Talcaeus, which is a tiny little island nation, very similar to like Greek, sort of stylistically, that exists on the eastern tip of Mythalstreen, and that has ships that are some of their smaller ships kind of like that. The larger ones a lot more ornate. But yeah, lots of different options.
Okay, so maybe we do that one.
Okay. So a Talcaeus ship. Yeah, you can do that.
Do I know any? Do I see any flags that I could recognize as a Talcaeus flag?
With what's going on in Talcaeus right now, certainly not. No.
Okay.
There was a whole second campaign I was going to run called Duskwalkers, and it began with what was happening in Talcaeus, so I'm very familiar with what's going on right there.
Okay.
Their ships are needed.
Okay, cool. So, would Akka know that that's the case?
No.
Okay. He's gonna not. Yeah. So, yeah, we could pretend to be from, like, Talcaeus or somewhere and make up a merchant flag. I don't know.
Okay.
And then just wear your hat and we'll at least get in, hopefully.
Okay. Refugees? Refugees? Merchants? What are we selling? What are we selling?
Maybe we just dropped off our shipment and are going to be heading back after resupplying here? Does that make sense?
The ship's too small.
We're a private
Listen.
merchant magnate on our
This ship.
pleasure vessel?
Oh, pleasure vessel, maybe. Maybe. This ship is too small. It is too small, and it is also like.
It's like way too ornate to be a regular thing, but it's way too small to be almost anything else. It's a very bizarre ship, yeah.
So, okay, but pleasure ship. What if we are weird nobles? Or just like random rich people. Random rich people do stuff all the time. We could be random rich people who.
Random rich people stand out. Random rich people going to Nocturne.
What do you want from me? Look at where we're sailing. Look at where we're sailing.
Random rich people.
Can you make the ship look less like this? Okay. Elmer's not pacing at this point.
At this point, Shay is also going to speak up again and say, "You said Brita was a pirate.
Yes.
Could it be that the laws have kind of aligned themselves to be more like pirates? Could we just go and bribe our way in?"
I mean, yeah, but we don't really have a ton to bribe with.
Shay reaches into her pouch.
I have the platinum.
She reaches in and pulls out 17 pieces of gold, 4 pieces of silver, and 3 pieces of copper, and just holds them out in the hand. Jeez. Enough?
No, but I appreciate the gumption.
She sticks it back in her pocket.
We have the drugs. So far, that's the most interesting thing we have.
Okay, so do we just go in and say, hey, we have some drugs for you? Can we...
Hey, we are looking to make contact. We have a new supplier.
So you're trying to
and we want to get
directly get to Brita as soon as we get on the dock.
I want to get into the dock and park it. And then we need to have some sort of story in case they start asking questions.
How do we know that a certain merchant has not made claim to a certain type of drug and we are infringing on their trade?
It sounds like Brita has taken control over probably the majority of the drug trade in Nocturne. So it's a safe guess that that's probably the person who's going to be the one who would be upset.
Well, yeah, so she's already going to be upset anyway. But she's not going to deal with it directly, most likely. She probably delegated it at least a little bit. So we just basically, I'm worried that we sail into the dock.
And you guys are getting like closer and closer. So
That's why Eleanor's like somewhere to stop
Yeah.
sailing.
Do I? Okay, I'm gonna
I'm
like just
worried.
run, grab the tent, and like whip it out onto the deck.
okay.
And be like, do I make a flag?
Okay. Would Eleanor know if it'd be better or worse to come in unaligned or pretending to be aligned?
Make a oh god, not a sense motive check, an insight check.
Insight check.
Yeah.
Not our strong suit, but we'll give it a go. Great. That's an excellent roll. 4.
Probably just going in on the line is the way to go.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I can't think of a good fake flag.
Okay.
So,
You roll your tent back up.
okay.
So we just go in,
Yeah.
and you
Unless we
stay below deck and wear your hat, and
I don't need to stay below deck. I need to be above deck with a hat on.
okay,
And just be not me.
okay.
And then, but someone else needs to make this, or unless I'm doing the talking, someone else has to figure out why we're here.
Because I am here because I live here and we have business here, but
Okay.
we can't tell them about the business because Brita, we want the element of surprise, and you're
Okay.
wanted.
We are travelers, and we have been on a adventure in other parts of Dominion. We don't know what's going on here. We're coming home. Great. We'll just go with that, and then just start sailing towards the dock.
Abruptly, the ship begins to crack
just
through the
like,
waves. Because it took us until 10:30 to get to this point. As you guys pull into the harbor, we're gonna step away for a quick break. It is 10:31. We're gonna be back at 10:41. Thank you for truly bearing with us during this peak D&D mode.
How to enter the docks.
I'm sorry.
What is our name?
Who are we?
Very existential.
We should have just done a finger on the flag.
Honestly, yeah.
Just like
All
floating
right,
around.
so we are going to be back in 10
Perfect.
minutes. It is 10:31. We will be back at 10:41. We'll see you then.
welcome back to Adventures in Alberon. Thank you for sticking with us through the break. I'll just bring us right back to where we were in one moment. So all of you now at night, aboard the Winds of Change, now a naval vessel in the ocean. Oh, excuse me. You all make your way towards Nocturne. It is no more than 15 minutes away by boat. What are you all doing? It seems like there may have been a change of heart over the course of the break.
I'm just kind of like girding myself for whatever happens. I'm like, you know, this shouldn't be a big deal. I lived here.
Anticlimactically, Eleanor, I think she's gonna chicken out. I think she's gonna chicken out.
I'm just like standing at the front of the ship, and then suddenly it's like. And I'm looking out to the open sea, and I'm like, what the fuck?
And you turn around to Eleanor's Lakes. The Sunrest Islands are great this time of year.
She is just pale. She is just white. Can't.
You would actually know the
Sweating.
Aldwin Menagerie is only 2 days a sail. If you were to go first a little bit to the east and then south, and that is a Jurassic Park theme park kind of island, which you guys could just go and take a nice vacation
Yeah.
at.
So if we go south enough, maybe the undead can't find us.
Yeah, and bonus, at that island, there's a Sojourn Network connection.
Oh,
you guys
okay.
could just teleport into Nocturne.
Oh, yeah.
So really, it's the best way to go to Nocturne.
Oh, yeah. Right.
I 100% know this.
I'm like walking over to the wheel of the ship.
Okay.
I just kind of like walk over, and I'm like,
I can't do this. Listen,
the city is that way.
going to the docks feels like this is the worst choice we can make.
Then make another choice. Either we have to get into the city. I have to go.
How are we? Okay. So,
I'm going to produce in my hand the Borrego flower, which is like a blue flower with like, kind of looks like that Jurassic Park Velociraptor, the one with the umbrella neck.
the
Dilophosaurus?
Yeah, it kind of looks like that, the flower. It has like a little sharp point to it, and the mouth opens up. It looks very much like also like a predator mouth opening up. And I'm just going to place this in your
Oh,
hand.
Dilophosaurus, look at me.
Nice.
I have a degree in biology.
Flowers symbolize the courage that you need.
I'm just kind of like holding a thing from the ship, and it's like now has like a flower and like one handing and like.
The flower in the field floats a little bit above your hand.
Cool. Okay,
I'm just
we're
like-
sneaking in. We're sneaking in. We're sneaking in.
Seeing this happen, I'm just like, keep it cool, keep it cool.
We're sneaking in. I can't go through the docks.
Okay,
Okay.
find a cove, and
Someone who can see.
I'm gonna
Look for a dock.
I'm just
cove.
stomping back to the front of the ship, like,
Make a perception check, sure. You see Nocturne now passing off and to your right. The many lights of this walled city and the towering walls that rise up, many stories.
17.
Okay. It takes you maybe another 10, 15 minutes, but you find a little south of Nocturne, such that it will probably only be about a half-hour walk. A little cove. Pebble Beach, you can see there is a very tiny but very limited kind of cave off into the north. Not big enough for the ship, but if you were nearby and you wanted to take shelter for a night, you could. A couple bits of driftwood washed up on the beach, but relatively protected.
I'm like, go there. Just.
Relative.
15 minutes pass, and you pull the ship into this small cove. It's relatively shallow, but you find a place safe enough to make anchor. This is a very small ship, relative to the ones that you've been aboard. And no problem. You make your way to a point where there's about 15 feet before you reach a place where you could stand at the bottom.
Okay. If we go in through the sunken stories, we'll be hidden. We can get an idea of what's going on in the city. And then at least we'll be on the streets and not we'll be near the quarter, which, if
The quarter of law?
yeah, it's not ideal, but it's at least we'll have an idea of how far her influence is spread. Because if the quarter of law is under,
What's the easiest way from land to get to the Modrock while avoiding the quarter of law?
So the Modrak has the mud gate, I think, which you could enter into straight away.
We should try the mud gate, is what I would say.
You say.
I'm kind of like looking at this motley crew of very like unusual people.
As you look
no,
across
the
them,
whisper
Brenna just like waves to you.
We have forest to the
Okay,
west.
okay.
Could do that.
Like cloaks. Everyone should probably put the cloaks on. And I just look at Oakfeld like, we're gonna be memorable at the very least, but hopefully we can at least get in.
I'm just like, I live here. I'm going to the mud gate, and I'm just gonna go. But we're camping out here first, I guess.
Up to you guys.
It's nighttime.
Yeah.
It's about 10 o'clock at night.
How long until we're pushing exhaustion?
Another 2 hours.
Okay.
So you guys could get in there, have another hour and a half before you got to that point.
Okay. I think we should make our way to the Modrock because that's where I am most familiar with and would probably find us a place where we could lay low.
All right.
So that's what I've got here. We should just go.
I can't. All my connections, if any of them still exist, would put us in too much danger.
Just
So
put your hat on and let's go to the mud gate.
can anyone hide the ship better than this?
Can I cast invisibility on the ship? And is it
cannot.
for more than 1 hour?
I don't
No.
think you can cast invisibility on the ship.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think it's on self or not.
Objects is like
I
a
don't
whole
creature
different
you
thing.
touch.
Yeah.
How big is the cove?
In terms of its total width, probably about 115 feet across. The water itself takes about 90 feet of that.
So we probably couldn't fit it in.
Fit one in.
The ship.
Oh, you mean the cave?
Yeah.
The cave is like at most 13 feet deep, and at
Oh, yeah,
tallest maybe 6.5 feet.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. You could get just the tip,
Just the tip.
just to like see how it is in there. And then you have to pull out.
Is there?
We have no way of protecting the ship when we're not near it. And
I mean,
we don't even have glove to scream to keep people away from it. Are we okay with losing it?
Perhaps we could make it look like a derelict ship. A ship that's been crashed.
I mean, not without making it crash, right?
If only you had somebody good at that.
Destroying the ship. Why can't? Is there just like a cove further down coast that we could?
Shay says, nobody knows that this is a flying ship. Just lift it, put it on the beach. Throw some sticks and that sort of a thing on top. You have a derelict ship.
I could provide the sticks.
Shay, thank you. I'm gonna pretend to beach the ship. Well, not pretend to beach a ship. Beach the ship. But instead of trying, but like, control it so it is like a little bit sideways.
So you want to land it and then to the side.
Yeah.
Sure. Go ahead and make just a using your proficiency bonus now because you do know how to use the ship.
I mean, it's probably
check.
pretty easy with the sail to just like shift the back sail, which would push some of the sand, right?
Yeah, you could probably do that.
Oh, the question is less like, is it physically possible? More like, am I going to completely destroy the ship in the process?
Right.
And like damage all of
And
its
then it's like,
fun
oh, yeah.
sails and make it like
From here, all you're doing is kind of like
24.
popping it open and then landing. No problem. You actually get it to move forward. The sails along the side of the ship flap. It doesn't gain any lift, but as it drags, you feel the bottom touch the sand and just slide up the beach. It does leave a little rut as you go, but as the waves come up, you can see already they're being washed away. The boat goes about 20 feet in onto the beach, and then you take your hands and very, very gently, you see this flower floating in the stream, and you almost imagine trying to bring this thing to balance. And as you do, very gently, the leaves and the petals all tilt, and the ship tilts like it's in the wind and just comes to rest on its side. Well
I
done.
take the flower with me.
Okay.
I'm just like flying off down onto the beach and just like make my way. I'm going.
Shay jumps down. Brenna flies down.
I'm going.
Take everything of value off the ship just in case people come by to pick it clean.
I don't think there's anything there, right?
Brenna flies back up. She takes a minute. She takes a minute very carefully to take off Oakfeld's wind chimes.
Oh, thank God.
I don't notice that.
She flies back down.
Here you go. I'm like still moving.
Thank you.
I wouldn't have stopped for that because I don't think there's anything of value on the ship.
Fair enough.
It's empty.
Everything up. Let's go.
Okay. You climb down. The only person unable to fly.
Yeah. Like Eleanor's like the unathletic kid in a group of like jocks.
No,
Like, they're just constantly like just jumping and doing shit, and she's like
God damn it. Yeah.
I probably just do my grow down move.
Yeah, everybody is either a magic or like American Ninja Warrior. You're just like this person. So, which I've always been a big fan of the idea of having somebody at the Olympics who's just normal do the event first. I think that's a great idea.
it's beautiful.
The one person was like,
Yeah. Like have me run a 100-meter dash.
Throws a shot put and it goes a foot.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys make your way to ground and make your way across elements of this beach and up through the woods. Let me change this. The seagulls get a little quieter.
"Quiet down, you darn seagulls!"
They do that. They do that. Okay.
Start throwing rocks at the seagulls to get them to leave the beach.
So you guys begin to make your way through.
I love seagulls.
I don't love seagulls, but I don't throw rocks at them.
They're like sea
They
pigs.
have water coming from somewhere.
Mysterious.
It's the mysterious water. No, it's coming from Nocturne is where it's coming from. Alrighty. You make your way to land. No problem. Through the woods you walk, and after about 10 minutes you make your way through and onto a road. This road, fairly well traveled. You can see there are stone pavers that are maintained pretty well by the kingdom. This road, if you were to follow it south and then a little bit to the west, would bring you to 1,000 gates eventually. But at present, after another 20 minutes, you make your way to Nocturne and the mud gate that would lead you into the Modrock.
Before we leave the forest, Eleanor's gonna put her hood up, kind of change her gait, and use the hat to take on the appearance of someone who is like much more like weathered.
Okay.
So like really like cracked tan skin and still probably human, and like not something an insane illusion, but enough where it's distinctly not her.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
When you make your way through these trees and out into the road and then to the gate, Akka, for you, it's weird. There is a strange, almost like a deja vu feeling. You've been here so many times before, but something about this still feels strangely alien. However, give me just a moment to pull up the Modrock for you. For all of you, for those of you who have not been here before, Oakfeld, this is a Goliath section of the city. The Modrock, unlike other sections of Nocturne, this towering walled city built very much like Kowloon. The Modrock has had many of the interior walls, floors, and even ceilings cleaved away to create giant, almost like a canyon of space. There are high-rise buildings that go up 2-3 stories, or really walls, where people make their homes. But in this place, unlike other parts of Nocturne, there are wild animals led around on leashes. You can see here and there owl bears being guided by other Goliath.
You can see the vertical spaces have small porches of iron festooned onto tiny apartments, and the air here a little bit more pungent than other parts of Nocturne. You smell mud, you smell the smell of animal waste, but above that you can smell delicious charred meat. You can smell all kinds of food, and you can hear the voices of happy people. Unlike other parts of Nocturne, this is a place that is very much alive. And whereas other parts of Nocturne, this walled city, quiet, dark, the crowded hallways making echoes carry very far, because this large space allows a little bit more noise, a little bit more freedom. Excuse me. This is a space that seems almost more alive than other parts of the city. And sure enough, with mud actually laid across elements of the otherwise metal ground, this is a very dirty place. But you make your way in, and it's a little bit quieter, being close to midnight, but you guys have arrived in the Modrock of Nocturne.
Would Rock's Rockets be open still?
Rock's Rakaka?
Rock's Rockets?
You're talking about the taco shop.
Yes.
It's not Rock's Rockets.
Oh, that's what you...
Oh, sorry. No, yeah. This is,
Because it's owned by Rakaka.
Yes. Sorry. This is Rock's Rockets.
Rakako, yeah.
So, and their name is not Rakaka. Not that you remember that. It's Beastbreaker.
Yeah.
So in Giant, it is Rock's Rococa, which is Rock's Tacos.
Right.
So,
But I would have called them Rocks.
Yeah.
Or Rock.
So, looking around, you can see up 2 stories, up a set of corrugated iron steps that lead to like a second story. Okay. There is a wooden stand that has a number of metal grates laid out. This is Rocks. You can see the sign up above. It is currently closed. Very late at night.
Aga's would probably be closed too. I guess the Tail Risk Tavern is the place that's most likely to be open still.
Well, that's not within the Modrock, but yeah, probably.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
So in the Modrock, just as a quick reminder, you have, from what you can remember, there is Rocks, the taco shop. There is Clan Wild Soul's Bestiary.
The Courtyard of Glory.
There is the Courtyard of Glory.
Mammoth Bone Park.
Yep, there is Mammoth Bone Park, although even you guys are relatively close to that right now. Looking over there, it is quiet, almost empty. And you remember this place, and for all of you who have not been here, this is a park full of mammoth bones that have been shaped into a makeshift jungle gym for Goliath children.
Adorable.
At all times of night, this place, usually at night, this is when like various groups of like roughly teenage Goliaths come together.
This is when me and my chums would have, if I remembered it.
This is where there would normally be like all kinds of things happening. You know, people hanging around on trash can fires, getting up to no good. It is quiet. And at this time of night, that is unusual.
But I probably wouldn't think that it's unusual because I don't remember those people.
Fair enough.
So...
I will say the one thing you do notice as you kind of look up at, and it's not, Aga's is the general store.
Yeah, Aga's the general store.
Rocks
is the taco place. Yeah.
Aga's, when you look up, it is on the 3rd story across about 70 feet of open space.
Still open?
From Rocks. It is not, but what you do notice is typically the shelves behind do have products on them. They're very bare. Not a lot for sale. And I'm sorry, the Tail Risk Tavern does descend all the way to the... I forgot. It goes up and down quite a ways.
I know the Modrock. Yeah. I grew up there.
So the tail. I thought you were talking about the one that goes up and down on the poles.
Oh, no.
It's in a different part of the city. But yeah, the Tail Risk Tavern certainly is.
Not the Salty Sister?
No. This is a huge place. I think it's in the... It's either called the Tidewise... I'll look it up.
Oh, the Tidewise Gambling Den is the gambling den, but not...
I'll look it up later. Anyways, the Tail Risk Tavern, is a tavern that's about 50 feet long, very, very shallow. So it's like a long bar with a whole bunch of seats and then not a lot of space to actually move around. They serve a lot of like farmhouse-style ales. And the whole thing about this place is you can go and make a tail risk where you boast about a mighty deed. And if you can prove the deed and tell it well, you get a special flagon of might, which is like 2 yards of ale, quite a bit. Specifically an ale called Totem, which is the house special.
Okay. I think I would probably go towards there because that's probably the place that's most likely to still be open this late, right?
Yeah.
The tavern.
Yeah.
Aga's is closed. Rock's is closed. That's about it. I would start heading there and be like, we should head to the tavern and maybe try to find some info there. Yeah, I'm gonna go there and then see if I recognize anyone
Sure. Yeah, no problem.
that I could start like hey, what's going on here?
This tavern, does it have any of that wine you gave me?
You drank with your fingers?
I have a version of it.
I
Maybe not
much
the exact one.
enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So, Aka, you lead the group over to the Tailrest Tavern. And sure enough, it is, well, not lively. There are like 5 or 6 people in there, and you can see there's somebody behind the bar kind of slinging glasses. Unlike the last time that you went there, you do notice they do have, well, not like a bouncer. There are members of a Goliath gang standing outside.
Is it a gang that I recognize?
Make a history check at disadvantage.
12.
Unfortunately, not one that you recognize, but you do see painted on one of their arms what looks like a crescent moon that has a very poorly rendered dagger plunged into it, and there's like a drop of blood coming down. I'm not sure what that means, but they just kind of watch what's happening, and you get a sense they are a little bit on edge. Make an insight check as you notice that.
Sorry. Insight?
Yeah.
9.
Nice. But, you know, it is late at night. They're probably just, maybe there was a bar fight a couple of seconds ago, and you guys are coming into a quiet time.
Okay.
But there is a couple guards out there.
Okay. I guess try to go in and see if there's anyone that I recognize who I could be like, hey, what's going on? It's been a while since I've been here. What's happening in the city? You know, get the rundown.
So as you
trustworthy
approach,
source.
as you approach, one of the Goliath comes out to stop you, kind of stepping in front. You can see tall, gray skin, bald as all Goliath are. You see a series of dark, almost like crimson tattoos that go from the center of the head down the face and then come around the neck beneath these furs that he wears. But he goes over and says, "Wait just a second. Who do you support?" You ain't a Goliath, so who are you supporting right now? With everything that's going on in Nocturne.
Who would I have supported prior?
You have no
There's
idea what
no,
this
like,
question
support.
is. Yeah.
Hey, I grew up here. Name's Aka. Hung around rocks a lot. Yeah, there it is. So
Wait, no, you're
haven't
fucking
been there.
with me.
I am not.
Your name is a food.
Yes. Long story. You can ask him about it yourself at Rocks, or Aga, or anyone. But I am back. It's been a while, so I don't really know what you're talking about.
You can see he like steps right up to you, and this is just like his chest is at your eye height, and he bends way down, and he just smells you. Yeah, you don't smell like a Goliath to me. And
Yeah,
you want
again,
one,
it's
so-
been a while since I've been here, but I grew up here, so ask around. They'd probably recognize me. Again, go to Rocks, ask Aga.
Make a I'm getting all my Starfinder and
Bluff check.
not
Deception.
it's not deception. This is
persuasion.
Yeah, persuasion. Thank you. Gosh,
14.
14. Wait here. You can see he stomps off and goes over to the bartender. He leans over. You can see he talks a little bit. Both of them turn out and he points one giant finger
peeking
to
to
you.
look. Do I know the bartender?
Make a perception check.
16.
16. You don't. He's an elderly Goliath. You can see he's like squinting over at you from behind like a bunch of
Still gonna
things.
wave.
Okay. He turns. You can see he just kind of shakes his head. The Goliath comes back. Nobody knows who you are, but as long as you're not supporting the Dawn Keepers or any of those other folk, you're fine. Do you have weapons?
I don't think I do.
You should probably come back with weapons.
Oh, you mean like? I mean,
Was not expecting that.
another long,
Tiny arm. but
another
I
long
don't
story,
think,
but I can handle myself.
okay.
I can.
What about
I'll
all
tell
of
you about it
And he
at
turns
the-
and looks at you, Oakfeld.
Hello. I am
I'm
here
just like, oh no.
to try some of the, I believe it's called wine.
He's
Yeah, all right. And he kind of stands aside. You can walk right in if you want.
All right, I'm gonna go up to the bar.
You're very disarming. He's like, yeah, this guy's an idiot. He turns. What about you? You with this group?
And I'm like, oh, just like,
yeah, he's with us.
And I kind of like.
Wait a second. He looks at you, and you're wearing this like disguise, right?
It's the Quaker Oats man.
Do you like oatmeal? No. He
One question.
he just kind of shakes his head and goes, what's your story? Who do you support?
Oh, I'm just traveling with this group. We haven't been here.
It's the captain of our ship. We just came in, not from around here.
No.
They're crew
Never been to
members.
Denmark.
As Shay and Brenna get shuffled
Listen.
in, I'm just like,
It looks like you don't know anything about what's going on around here. So
that's what
understand
I said. Is
this. I don't know you,
all right.
but there is a war happening in this city. This lady showed up, Dawn Keeper. She thinks herself something more important than even the Silent Circle. Somehow she still breathes. But there are those that resist, like us. And you can see the other guy next to him just goes, yeah, we're doing a good job too.
So the Modrak's not happy with the Dawn Keeper?
Nah, she wants to move in and take everything. We've worked hard to carve this place out after the Somber
course.
Crusade.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose another home.
I get that. Internally, I'm like, this can work to our advantage.
I'm probably gonna come back, go to the bar, and just come back with some drinks.
Okay, sure. Yeah, Markov, you're getting drinks for everybody?
Yes, I just remember though I
Including the
have.
bouncer.
I'm gonna remember what I learned about tabs,
Okay.
and
Close it.
and I'm gonna count the members of my party.
Sure.
Could I have this many?
This old Goliath, still taller than you, goes up, and you can see he's got like the old man strength build. He's really skinny, the back a little bit bowed, but you see like huge pecs, almost comically large because he's so skinny at this point. But you would imagine underneath the furs and underneath the leather, probably ripped is this guy.
Chiseled.
Yeah, I mean he has like skinny little arms. The muscle, the skin hangs down, but they are like rope tight muscles. But he kind of squints at you. And how many did you say?
5.
This many.
That'll be 25 copper.
Tab?
Make a diplomacy check.
He just knows. He just says the word tab, and that's how it works. A 6 plus probably 0.
I don't know you. 25 copper up front, and we can talk about a tab after.
Eleanor, can Eleanor hear this happening?
Yeah.
Okay. She's gonna go like, we are just simple travelers, and then kind of sneak around and try to go to the bar to give money to Oakfield, except
He's gonna turn and just go, yeah, but when your friend is paying better attention, tell her to be careful. She looks like this lady everybody's looking for.
What lady?
And he goes and like shuffles through. You see, he pulls out what is like dried jerky. He like tucks it under his armpit. He reaches in and pulls out a couple of copper pieces, and then finally this wrinkled up, ruined piece of paper. He unrolls it kind of bashfully and goes, "I don't do much of the reading, so I really just kept it for the picture. Sorry." And he passes it over. On it, you can see a picture of Eleanor, relatively fresh.
I'm just like,
Called it.
You can see there is a reward currently for.
recognized her through the Quaker Oats disguise.
So it's like an older, withered version of Eleanor. You can see like a vague similarity, and for somebody who isn't really good at like looking for differences, you could definitely see where that might be come across. But for somebody who actually looks at details, there's a much more of a difference. So ironically enough, for this really low perception character, he's like, like everybody looks kind of the same.
Blurry,
So
like,
any human
shape
woman
is similar.
pretty much any human woman who comes in, he's like, wait a second. And he's not really, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like terrible, but I'm like,
I erred too far on the side of
I
caution.
see it still, and I'm like,
You see,
God damn it.
you see reward, alive only,
Oh.
1,000 gold pieces.
Oh.
You see there are 3 names which can be gone to collect this reward. The first, of course, Brita Dawnkeeper. The second is rather strange, but Gale of Storm. And the third, give me 1 second to pull up this person's name because I forget what he's going
And
by
I
these
haven't
days.
heard of anyone besides Brita so far.
Correct.
No one. These aren't locals.
Or Jack.
Jack. Got any Jacks that are local? Any local Jacks?
Nothing I could think of.
I'm just kind of like,
I mean, I'm sure like 1 or 2, but none that really come to mind.
I kind of like, not roll it up, but I just kind of crumple it in the way that it had been crumpled,
Yeah.
the way he gave me, and just kind of like put it away. I'm like, cool. Yeah, I'll tell her.
Are you just going to take that?
Oh, you want it back?
Not really, but you could maybe trade me something for it. I can't read it.
Well, that's kind of why I didn't know if you wanted it back. I guess. What do you want? Like a copper or something?
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, take a copy, please.
I'm also probably going to do a transaction with the money Eleanor just gave me.
Okay.
And on top of it, I'm just going to take out some of my acorns and like pocket lint and put that on as well.
Oh, acorns. And he takes out the acorn. He slides across to you. These. Let me pull some. I have so many.
5 giant mugs of beer.
So 5 very large mugs of very sour-smelling beer. And tasting at Oakfeld, it tastes of hay, sour dark lime, and sea salt with a hint of coriander. You can see on the side of these glasses, very simply, is written Totem. This is the house sort of thing. You can see behind the counter 2 towering, they look like mammoth horns that have been hollowed out to create these massive flagons. They're steel capped on the bottom. You see they have these little stands that attach to them, almost like a kickstand, because these are huge. And in fact, they are actually mammoth tusks, and they're just kind of there for display. But you can see there's like a sign in a language you don't read that talks about the rules for winning it. So you all have drinks.
I'm gonna try to listen in on the like happenings at the bar.
Yeah, make a perception check.
And try to hear if there's like any word of things that are happening.
Yeah. So
And
middle
looking
left
for
of the
anyone
building,
that I
you guys find 5
recognize.
seats in a row.
Not for looking around, so
I
that's
imagine
not an advantage.
I'm at like a
That's
table with Eleanor and everyone
15.
else.
So this is 10 feet deep. It is mostly just a bar.
Okay.
Seats. Yeah,
It's like a
this
dive
is
bar.
Very much like a
Yeah.
dive bar. Yeah, like a long dive bar.
15.
15. So you sit there, everybody sits, you guys all pull up stools and kind of sit along the bar. You lean to the left and you listen. Ugh, whew. Give me just one sec. There's so many parts to this particular
And
part
I
of
don't
the story.
recognize anyone at the bar, right?
With a 15, certainly not. You hear them talk about a new person coming in to take control of the Nocturne First banner. Somebody called Nialkai Niln Whisperstitch, an elf. And they're here to try to restore the status quo, apparently. And from that, you take, it seems as if Nocturne, first of all, still definitely has a Serentillian presence. But secondly, they are also clearly trying to restore some kind of order to the city. With a 15, that is all that you hear. More talk about meat prices being up. You can hear little bits about flying creatures a little bit further to the north in the Idlewild.
Then he was Nyalkai something Whisper Stitch. I missed the middle.
Nialkai.
Norwich or something like that.
Nialkailin Whisperstitch.
Oh.
Nialkei''Lin space Whisperstitch.
I guessed all of those wrong.
Yeah.
That was
me too.
close. I had Kai.
When you have functional languages and you have to derive things, it gets kind of chunky.
I got the syllables down.
All right. I'm gonna drink this beer, and then I'm probably gonna go to one of the places that I would have previously stayed when I lived here,
Okay.
on a relatively isolated street, where if I'm recognized or if I'm spotted, it would be by someone who would recognize me in like a positive way, not someone who would try to fuck me up.
So you think about it. It should be easy. You come from here and you remember parts of growing up. You think about where you've slept. And then you think some more. And for whatever reason, you're really drawing a blank. These are some memories that you do not seem to have access to.
I was just like sitting at the bar, kind of like nursing this probably mediocre beer.
It's great. I mean, if you like sour farmhouse ales, it's great. If you don't, not so much.
Okay, and then like, does this place also have rooms, or does it seem like it's just the bar?
It's just
Just
Yeah,
a
just
bar,
the
yeah.
bar.
The Modrak, so the Modrak is built really to keep outsiders away. You guys saw a little bit of this in the Dwarven Quarter of Port Quinn. People who live here have bathrooms here, so there isn't even a bathroom at this bar. They're expecting that you live close enough just to walk home and use your bathroom. And realistically, if you didn't, you probably know the bartender, and he'll let you use his. He lives around the corner.
I guess the person that I would probably be most likely to go to would be either Rock or Aga, right?
Aga, for sure, yeah.
And she presumably lives just near the shop.
Below the shop.
Below the shop,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess if I can't think of anywhere else, I would be like, I guess I gotta go to Aga and wake her up in the late evening.
1 in the morning?
Yeah.
At this point? Yeah.
I mean, we go back a bit. She would see the importance of this, right?
The little rocks on a window.
Yeah,
So that's where you're headed?
I think so.
I think at this point, Eleanor's just trying to explain the difference of wine and ale to Oakfeld.
And it's tough because they're both just plants. Like, you
Yeah,
know.
he doesn't understand.
But no problem. You have your beers, you finish them, and you head out in the direction of Aga's. You know that Aga lives the floor beneath, so you have to walk up this like spiraling set of staircases past several other doors. And you reach Aga's, painted blue on the outside, a wooden door. You can see a flickering candle from within, so maybe still awake. But you don't hear any movement. Maybe just like asleep, and the candle is dying by the side of the table. Hard to tell.
I'm like, I really don't want to have to wake Aga up this late, because then she's gonna be mad. But hopefully she's not gonna be so mad that she won't let us stay here the night. Alright, back up. You don't say anything. Just keep your mouth shut.
sure. You knock on the door. You hear like some shuffling, and then you hear this kind of big, like rustling footsteps. And the door open, and you can see in front of you Aga, a little bit like disheveled. You see like in elements of furs that would be best be described as like a night dress. Although this woman, I think it's the other side of the house.
Oh, I thought it was Aga.
Oh yeah, that was Aga. She stomps on over, and she that threw me off. She comes over to the door looking really tired, but her eyes open wide. Do any of you speak giant?
No.
Okay. Fundan Tarakaka.
I have a lot to tell you. Can we stay here tonight?
She looks by. Who are all of these people?
A crew that I have been working with.
Where are the other ones?
It's a long story. Can we come in?
Fine, come on. And she holds the door open. You see behind her a space that is about 15 by 10, large bed, which she takes up the majority of. There is elements of a fireplace, which is where the light came from, really just embers now. There's a hearth over top. You can see on top of the hearth where there would normally be like paintings or whatever else, there are just like little bits of silverware. You see like a dirty plate. Relatively dirty. What you also notice, though, Akka, taking up the majority of space in one corner, is all the goods that would normally be supplied in Aga's store have been moved down here. She sits heavily on the bed. It's like the whole thing bends a little bit. Make yourselves at home, I guess. Why are you here so late, Akka?
Well, I don't know very much about what's happening, but Brita Dawnbreaker.
Yeah.
We are after something that she was in possession of.
Okay.
And one of my compatriots does not get along with her particularly well.
Is she looking for you right now?
Not me personally, no.
She looks around at any of the small ones in here.
Kind of.
Why are you bringing this trouble to my door at...
I had nowhere else to go. A lot has happened. I don't remember a lot of things.
Aga, right now there is a war in Nocturne. And far be it for me to get involved at my age in these things, but the Madrak has been drawn in. Do you remember Uzafi Blood Moon?
Blood Moon sounds familiar, but do I remember Uzaki Blood Moon?
Probably not. So, no.
Like I said, some of my memories have escaped me.
I don't know how you forgot Uzafi,
Well-
Loudmouth, but he has seen this as an opportunity to seek power and has united the gangs under his banner. They are opposing Brita and several others.
What exactly has Brita been doing? And she's trying to take over all of Nocturne?
I run a general store, Aka. But from what I can gather, yes. At the very least, she's taken over the Avenue of Everdusk, which for somebody to do in that short of a time, I want to stay out of this, Aka.
Yeah, me too. We'll leave in the morning. We have to go anyway, but thank you for letting us stay. It's good to see you.
She nods tiredly. I wish I would see you when you weren't in trouble. Ever.
No, that's never.
She kind of turns and begins to lay down. Is there anything else that you guys want to do before the evening passes?
No.
Okay.
If she has any like plants in jars or anything, I'm just gonna do like a small little plant growth, just to make them a little bit bigger.
Okay.
Just a small little one.
I got a ficus in the corner. It's just like
There are a number of little herbs that are kind of lined up on this shuttered window, and so yeah, you can cast a little plant growth. You make them all grow
And
a
I'm
little
just
bit
gonna
more.
whisper.
How's my honor?
Okay. Can you speak with plants yet?
I'm holding off on that.
Okay.
But I could anytime I wanted to. I could.
That is your reply then. The evening passes. For all of you, it is an uncomfortable night. This is a crowded space. The smells are strange. For you, are very nostalgic, but there is a musk to this place, a body odor that permeates the air within the Modrock. That really, it feels like this is where it's coming from. You see dirty dishes. After you've settled for a little bit, that's when you start to hear like the little flies like moving through, certainly eating all the refuse that is around. The fire dies down. It is still fairly warm but dark in the space. You can hear people passing by outside, and because of the nature of the structure, sounds do echo a little bit here and there. And some of the sounds, at one point in the night, you hear this like loud snarl of a wild animal in the steel city, very unnerving. But you hear some people laughing, and you hear somebody like make a loud slapping sound, this kind of like little like sad sound, and they kind of continue down the street. But for all of you, you do find sleep. You can mark off a long rest if you need it. And at a certain point, in the early hours of the morning, probably about 8 o'clock, once the last of you has gotten your long rest, closer to 9 actually, you wake to light coming in. Outside, a little bit more crowded. But as the... give me 1 second here. I have to switch between 3 different documents for this segment of our story. Because I have my city guide to Nocturne. I have my Brita Dawn Keeper story arc with all of the different like little notes to keep in place. And then I also have my overall Adventures in Alberon planning section. It's so much. I wonder how many thousands of pages I've written for this campaign. I bet well over 20 at this point. Okay, so what was I looking for?
Morning.
Morning.
Yeah,
The second
morning.
day.
Dawn on the second day.
So
48 hours.
as the sun rises on the 5th of the melting, it is Thursday, 9 a.m., and you are within the Modrock. What would you all like to do?
So, did Akka mention the wanted poster?
Not yet.
Not yet, but that's that's what he's greeting you.
As soon as you wake up, Akka, it's like a hazy. Akka's like holding it right in front of you.
Lovely. At least they did a good job. Only 1,000 gold. A little disappointed in that one.
Do not worry, Tailwise. I will protect you.
No, worried.
Make a wisdom saving throw.
Let's have She's mess our stuff up right now.
17.
You hear this ringing in your ears. You kind of shake a little bit. You still hear it, and you look around. You feel weird, like somebody's watching you.
Friends, I thought I had some kind of weird popping sound when I was on the flying ship, but
Yeah, probably the altitude change. Yeah.
does it happen afterwards still?
Probably sometimes.
What do you want me to do with it?
I don't know. Come up with a better disguise or lay low even more.
Alright. We're gonna go with
Gotta confront her. Maybe. Are you willing to,
I'm not gonna go running into.
but maybe we collect the reward, as it were, to get close?
Shay turns to Eleanor. Eleanor, have you spoken to Brita recently?
No.
She looks at this kind of drawing, which, despite its crumpled nature, the ink is relatively fresh. This is not faded in any way. How did she know you were coming?
Probably the eye is what I was thinking.
I mean,
It's got to be the eye, right?
Who are you asking?
I'm just asking Joe.
Oh,
As Akka thinking like it's got to be the eye.
Who knows?
well, Mr. Gift did mention that if she was working with a circle, it's possible that we've been being watched. We're not exactly subtle. I was gonna change her disguise to like an older half-elven man,
Okay.
like including a beard.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So nothing like long, so it's not like the weird illusion BS. But
Elves don't really have beards, so if you
Right.
want to, you can.
half-elven.
Okay, half elven. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
half-elven. So kind of scruffy.
Like Dr. House, but a half elf.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just kind of like, okay, but
Shay does bring up a good point, though. If our,
she already knows
If
that
she
you're
already knows
here,
if-
then it's probably
at the
because.
very least, she knows we're on our way.
So there's not much sense in hiding.
Well, we don't want to go trapezing about without a
No.
plan, but
No,
Pieces, two peas in a row.
it makes this a more appealing option because if we go with under the pretense of capturing you for the reward, that will hopefully get us close enough to Brita. She wants you alive. If we can get in close to her, then that might be our best option without having to go through anyone else or causing a bigger scene.
Why does she want you alive?
that's the part that worries me. It would be more comforting if she wanted me dead. I'm worried that.
Well,
I know you said your relationship with her was complicated.
Was? Not wrong. Listen, I screwed them over big time. If it were anyone else, it would be dead or dead. The alive part makes me worried that she wants to
do it herself.
or make an example of me.
Okay. But not if we surprise her. She's not going to be expecting. Well, I would like to think that she's not going to be expecting, but given that she's in control of the eye, she's probably expecting almost everything.
You still don't know what that does.
But trying to claim the reward will get us close to her, presumably, and that's what we're going to need to do to confront her one way or the other. And,
I don't have a better plan.
I mean, it's still 5 against 1.
Perhaps
Well-
we could wait on that plan as a final option.
Can't.
Eleanor kind of looks down at the Wanda poster. My brain just like let go of the word.
I have slammed it on the floor.
Yeah. Well, 2. 5 against 2. At the least. And I kind of gesture to the second name, Gale of Storm.
And Jack.
And Jack.
Jack.
Gale of Storm and Jack. Do you know who those people are?
All I know what Storm is. Jack,
Another member of the crew.
first name.
And so Jack is probably also a new member of the crew.
Do I know a Jack?
No.
I have no idea who this Jack person is. I could tell you.
Maybe someone within the city already that they're working with.
All the people that I knew were on the crew. A couple of I knew of the members of the Accord, and I don't really know much about the order.
Is Akka
The
awake?
quarter.
Aga.
Aga? No, she's sleeping. You every now and then you're hearing like a.
Okay, I don't want to wake her, but if she's awake, I have a question. But
You woke her up at 1 in the morning. She's probably
so
going to
I'm
sleep
letting
in a
her
little
sleep
bit.
in,
Yeah.
Well, I am not against the idea of the bounty collection. Perhaps we could maybe seek out some allies. This Nelkine Whisper Switch could perhaps be of help.
If it's someone trying to take her down, it's not our worst option.
Akka wouldn't want Sarentil to be dipping their fingers into the Modrock, right?
Knowing what you know about Sarentil, certainly not.
No. I am...
There.
No.
So I don't know how much you have read the document, but Akka would know. The reason that the Goliath are in the Modrock in the
It's
first
because
place,
they got kicked out. Well, they got...
Sarentil waged the somber crusade for about 100 years.
And
that,
they got displaced.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you probably don't want to
Yeah,
be
magic or something?
I'm super... No.
shamanistic magic
Okay,
that the Goliaths used
not
that
about
supposedly doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
I'm not about that life. I don't say that like that. I say we're not asking...
I'm just not
We're
about
not
that kind
asking.
of life.
Yeah. Okay.
We're not asking Sarentil for help.
Right? Well, we could wander around today, see if we could get any more information. The Modrock's not breached yet. There might be other sections of the city that
Seems to at least not be happy with her hostile takeover of
also
the
means
city.
there are areas of the city that she doesn't have yet.
At this point, there's another. Oh, are you all just going to talk the whole morning? You can see she wakes up and kind of like stretches a little bit.
Is there anyone who could maybe help us if we were looking to get in touch with Rita Dawnkeeper?
Well, she has people at most of the spots in the city that she's staked out now, so you could head to any of the places that fly her banner outside. There aren't any in the Modrock. You'd need to go further. There are some in the Three-Tided Chords district. I believe most of the Avenue of Everdusk is hers now. But ask around. People can find you.
And it seems like everyone in the Modrock is pretty against whatever she's doing.
Really, Akka, most of us don't care. I want to work at my store. I want to continue the life that I've built.
Yeah.
But there are those who resist her, yes.
Okay. Well, we should probably go. Thank you again for letting us stay the night. I don't want to cause any more trouble for you. So, it was good to see you again.
Is there anything we can do for you?
She looks at you, Akka, and then turns back to you. Try to keep him alive.
We'll do our best.
You need to water these more.
She turns and looks at the plants, and she kind of squints and goes, I don't think so. She goes over and looks at these plants that are now much more grown than they were before, and she goes, this one was dead. And she goes and she pulls out this little mint plant. She's very confused now, and you can see she's like looking. She begins to look for like holes in the ceiling that might be leading to like precipitation getting down and in when it runs down through the holes in the ceiling. But can't. Yeah, she's just trying to figure this out now.
I think I would start to leave.
Sure.
Yeah.
You open the door out, and the Modrock greets you.
So, what do you think? Because sooner or later we're gonna have to, deal with your whole situation. And kind of gesture to the pocket with the wanted poster. I would prefer sooner, for obvious reasons.
That's. I'm just kind of just looking around and just like, let's just go to closer to the Three-Tided Court district. At least we'll get some more information.
All right,
I do.
head up.
I kind of look over at Shay and like, I worry about your point. I don't know if we're being curtailed. Can you keep an eye out?
Certainly. The circle of silence is involved.
Oh yeah.
Shay tells you, I haven't noticed anybody yet, but I'll look. And then, gone. You look up, you see just like elements of the white cloth disappearing as she leaps almost 50 feet up to like the third floor, grabs onto something, and swings herself onto a roof. Gone is Shay.
I don't think I'm ever gonna get used to that.
I mean, I could probably just fly up and join her, but I guess we head towards the three-tied accord.
Okay. You
I'd want to get some Akkas on the way, but that's okay. I'll save it.
Sure. So you begin to make your way through the Modrock and then out into the main section of, excuse me, of Nocturne. Here, they are smaller, 10 feet tall, anywhere from 10 to 20 foot wide metal corridors. And off of those, they open up into doors. Some open up into small, like little pavilions. They're all size spaces, but all still enclosed. After about 30 minutes, you make your way to the three-tied accord. Not traveling that far, but the vertical nature along with these sort of structures.
No more.
Yeah. You make your way to the area occupied by the three-tied accord. The change is subtle at first, but the place that the Anacrean Alliance once occupied, the Anacrean Alliance, mostly expats actually from the Anacrean Alliance, but there used to be a thriving market section in the city. Open to the air, there was like salt breeze that came through most of this district, and you still smell and feel that. Here and there, you can see that there are taller humans than your average Dominionite. Blonde and brown hair and strange long styles. You've seen people like this before. They are from Darby. Still doing some business here. And as you get closer to the docks proper, salt air does roll in off the sea. Excuse me. The town is quieter than it used to be. Jeez. I'm struggling. This is what happens when you talk for a living 40 hours a week. So the town is quieter than it was. Though it bustles, those who move through the streets do so a little bit quicker and with purpose. Not lingering, not browsing. That is what you see just off the bat. And the first thing that you would pass as you enter from this direction, in fact, as it is the lowest section of the three-tied accord, is the Dreamer's Den. You see off and to your left. Out front of the steps, unlike you'd seen previously, there are three individuals. You see a sea elf, sort of short blonde hair, blue eyes, the little flecks of orange that actually catch elements of the sun that come in from the open spots to the air. You can see a pair of humans, one with dark skin and tall, auburn hair and a beard, and then a shorter one with no hair and fair skin. He looks kind of like Humpty Dumpty, actually, bald. You don't recognize any of them, but you certainly recognize the emblem sewn into all of their leather armor. It is the emblem of Brita Dawnkeep. And you watch as a younger man shuffles up the stairs. One of them stops and just says, "It costs money to enter now. New management, you understand." And you see the little man just kind of go, "Okay." And he passes over 5 gold pieces.
Damn. To enter the...
There's a cover now.
I don't think Shay
They
has.
collect
Just to
and
enter
stand on
the
side.
part of the city?
Do you have anything?
No,
like
to
that?
enter the Dreamer's Den.
Oh, the Dreamer's
specifically,
Den.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought it was the whole...
There's a cover to open.
and that's
it
the
now.
ultimate-
three-tied
Yeah.
accord, yeah.
And that is for this man to be able to go up a set of badly corroded steps that have been patched and repaired so often that probably none of the original material remains. A lot of this area, open to salt and air, it rusts really fast, so it has to be replaced and repaired a lot. Off and to the right, you can hear a little bit of very nice, fine music, and looking up a set of stairs and on a terrace. Akka, I believe you've been here before. This is Celle de Mer.
Yeah.
One of the
I didn't
nicest
get to go
restaurants in
in,
the
though.
entire continent.
Didn't get to go in, though.
No,
What
you
is
can
it?
Fucking dangled that
Celle de
nice
Mer,
meal
which
in
is
front of
Elvish
me.
for soul of the sea.
And we're like, nope, we're gonna go to the shitty place instead.
Oh, it's like a restaurant, okay.
But we have hundreds of gold pieces, and we're gonna give you one a day.
Yep, this is a place where you know that a meal is 300 gold pieces.
Jeez.
But if you look past the staircase on the left, connecting in areas, there's the Salty Sister Brewing Company. Off to the right, and then further down, there is the Simple Shipwright. On the docks proper, it is a team of gnomes that can build ships really quickly, using various spare parts and labor found around the docks. They really basically serve to make this a very efficient dock system. And then finally, you also know further in would be Calico Amir's, which is across the street from the Bonsai Tree Shop, Aquamarine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we also had been to.
Because, that was next door to the Tide Pass.
Yeah. Well, also we talked to Calico for a while.
Yes, Calico you've been to, yeah.
Yeah. So where to? To turn you in and go to try and, again.
So we're just gonna turn me in, and then what?
Try to get the.
Then we have 1,000 gold. What are you talking about?
We're gonna turn around and leave.
We're gonna go to that restaurant. We're gonna force it.
Yeah, we're
spend literally all of it.
I'm gonna go to the Salt of Mare.
Good luck flying your ships.
Just we go there, she comes to take you away, and we don't let her, and we get possession of the eye, and that is really all I am set on.
Still.
I'm not the one who's wanted. I just want to get the thing that she has or knows about the quickest way I can.
So, if we hand me over immediately, without a plan, without an idea, without even something to leverage,
like going into
you're letting go
a
of
tomb.
you're letting go of her only chip.
Yeah.
I am right now our only chip. All right. We need to figure out, just by looking immediately, if she has her symbol all over the place here.
Yeah.
So, are any of Rita's marks on the fancier places, or is it seems so far mostly on like the shadier place that I would kind of expect?
So you don't see anybody wearing that outside of the staircase to the Salt of Mare.
Yeah.
When you look over at the Salty Sister Brewing Company, the only other place that you can see, you don't see anybody there either. You can't see any other spots from this space, but yeah, it's not a place.
Are there any churches or places of refuge that are probably not businesses?
That you can see?
Not here.
You can make a perception check if you want.
Yeah.
There might be for you.
A 7 plus.
Nope.
Probably not. Yeah.
Alternative churches.
Yeah.
Well, so there's a bonsai tree shop, and for Oakfeld, maybe, but you don't know where that is. Yeah.
We'll take a spin around the area, see how far her influence has reached, see what's actually happening. We don't even know where it is, right?
I would probably be maybe fortune teller Calico Amir is a good person to throw a couple coins into to see if any good info comes out from him. He is a fortune teller.
Have you ever heard of Calico Amir?
Make a history check.
18.
Amir is a vaguely Mythalstream name. I think Gale probably told you that because they're not from Mythalstream, but they spent a lot of time there prior to joining up with Brita. Calico is a color pattern that you've heard about on turtles.
Yeah. All right. So.
Yeah, I think I would be like, okay, well,
we need information. We need to know what our situation is.
Well, you don't have any leads in the city, do you?
The last time I was here was before all this shit happened, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know what the state is currently.
I'm going to Calico Amir's.
Sure.
Heading towards there to see, are there members of Brita's crew outside of Calico's? And, then if there aren't, go see what he's up to. If he's still there, if his boat is still there.
Okay, sure. So you go, you have to walk down this kind of main street that you're already on. You take a right down a small, it's really a dock. You can see water off to either side, but buildings also to either side. And you find Calico Amir's that you've been to previously. The door is locked and closed. You can see there is a closed sign over top, and looking through the window, you do see elements of the shop still very much intact. And it hasn't been packed up and things haven't been thrown away, but closed.
Okay.
Could I do a perception check to see if there, as we're walking through the city, to see if we can see anyone who's like maybe like being a lookout? Like, you know, like sometimes you can like tell, like, you know, sometimes they have kids be lookouts or something like that. Because I'm just trying to see
All
if
Oakfeld's experience with children in the Feywild,
I'm trying to see if I can find maybe like some now can whisper switches people maybe.
Sure.
A 9 plus an 8 for perception. 17.
17. You look around and you do notice you have been feeling watched for some time, and almost at this time, that feeling seems to go away weirdly enough as you look around. Maybe because you're looking, but you see Shay up on one of the buildings, kind of keeping an eye on you guys. With a 17, you don't notice any like lookouts in that way. You do. I would say because you are kind of staring for a little bit. That's all you'd really see.
Okay.
No, you know what?
Oh.
With the 17, you do see Aquamarine, which is a bonsai tree shop. It's about 15 by 10. However, what you notice primarily is that outside of the space, there are these white hogweed plants that you know, being Oakfield,
What
knowing
does it
about
symbolize?
plants. Not so much of what it symbolizes. So these puffy elements that come off of it, they can cause the skin to blister when contacted by the sun. It's like highly poisonous. The sap of this plant can cause blindness. So having it hanging over the entrance to a shop, pretty weird. You see on the inside of the shop, however, small clay pots, dried, and a few of them curing in the sun, but many of them holding dozens of little bonsai trees. You see a palmet maple, you see a weeping fig, a lacebark elm, a snow rose. They vary in price and how ornate they are. But a whole bunch of little plants with stones, moss. You see there is a half-elf inside, dyed purple hair, thin Dutch braids on the sides, but long on top and behind. She seems to be the proprietor, and she's just kind of tending to some of these plants.
I think I'm going to go up to there, and I'm going to have my robe be covering my hand.
Okay.
And I'm going to create one of these hogwites on my hand.
Okay.
So I imagine if I'm touching it with my hand, it probably won't hurt me because my hand is made of it.
For you, no, you're fine.
Yes. And I'm just going to gesture to the window that I have it in my hand.
Okay. So you see, it takes a second. You're standing there just holding this in the window.
Yeah.
She's tending her plants. You see her like snip something. She's kind of humming a little bit. She snips it again. She turns and goes around the table, and now looking out the window, she sees you just holding this plant, and she goes, "Oh, no, 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 no." And she like goes out the side and goes, "Excuse me, you really shouldn't touch that. Can I please just put it down? Put it down. Your skin will start to blister.
I
Put the plant on the ground."
And then I'm going to put my hand slowly onto the ground. And then
man,
she
what's
can
wrong with
see it like drooping off my skin. And my hand starting to change back into human.
She takes a step backwards, and then another step backwards, and then the door shuts. Sorry. And then you hear a little shades drawn. Go away.
I wish to talk to you about these interesting plants.
No one's home.
I mean you no harm. I am just a curious voice in this world, hoping to learn a bit more about the everyday plant life.
I'm going to call the guards. Please go.
Very well.
And I guess I'll leave.
Okay. I don't know why you thought that was going to be a positive experience for her to have a plant matter slough off as your hand turns back into skin. That's horrifying. But all right. That's like, that would be, just to put this into perspective, that would be like going to Home Depot, covering your arm with one of those like orange bibs, and then slowly having your skin melt a power drill onto the floor. Horrifying, truly horrifying. So you've closed the store early today. Good job. You find yourself standing in the streets.
As I'm walking back from Calico
Yeah.
Weir's boat shop, I'm like, glad I didn't see any of that.
You feel weirdly optimistic for some reason now. But for you, Eleanor, you watch all of this.
Just. Oakfield, we gotta work on your introductions.
But she said to put it on the ground.
That's it's not necessarily.
There's so many layers to what's wrong here. How do
we
you
need to
begin
back that up a
explain
little
it?
bit next time when the store is open again. Instead of producing the plants, maybe just go inside and ask and just introduce yourself, you know?
I thought that if she saw another of its kind, like how it works for me, she would be overjoyed.
So with humanoid interactions, we generally like to our introductions kind of go with like just let's go in and saying hi. And then stuff like that is reserved for after you get to know them a little bit better. Because some people, it's kind of like a party trick you pull out later. And not like what you lead with.
A trick, but
It's
there
from
is
that.
no trickery in what I do. There is only kindness and faith of the old.
We'll work on this. We'll work on this. No, just gently pats
Calico's is locked.
shoulder. All right. All right. I'm gonna look around. I'm gonna see if I can see if I can count how many of Brenna's people are kind of just like Rita's people are out.
So you see 3 that are in front of this opium den?
Yeah.
You haven't seen another? Yeah, you haven't seen another in that time.
Okay. So, do you remember the name of the main tavern of this area?
There's the Tidewise Bar.
That's like the multi-layer.
Oh, no.
That's.
Hang on. Yeah, let's see if you can beat me to it.
I'm gonna try to beat you to it.
I wrote this. Is it the Baron's Errand? No.
No.
It is... not
The
said.
Whisper Factory?
No, the Whisper
That's the
Factory.
one with the.
This is a problem when you rate huge cities.
I forgot to copy over the name.
It's a 30-page city guide.
Not the Yellow Banner Trade House, is it?
No.
That's what
That's
we're avoiding.
The Smuggler's
I
Den.
mean, she'd probably
Not
be
the
there.
tea
or at
shop,
least
not
have a
Petal
connection.
Fall, not Timorica.
Tipsy Tavern?
Tipsy Tavern, that's the one.
I got it.
Okay.
Where is that? I can't find it in my guide. Oh, wait, I can just control up.
It's under the
There
Temple
we
of
go.
the Mirthful Masters.
So yeah, the Tipsy Tavern moves. It's yeah, that's right, because they brew the beer for it. Right. Okay, we remember things. So very specifically, yeah. Tipsy Tavern. You know, it's across the well, depending on what level it's stopping on, it is across from Look, which is a the bar with a long balcony.
Over a narrow, long alleyway.
Yep.
All right. We'll keep walking around. We need to see if we can find a spot that is at least get a better idea of how many places she has and what she has. If we can figure that out, we can maybe figure out where she isn't. Versus, I mean, if we want to just walk up to her, probably going to the Yellow Banners would be the way to go.
That's where you think she is?
I mean, she worked with the Yellow Banners. That's... Unless she... The only thing I can think of would be either there or at the seat of the Accord. I also don't know.
You had heard that she had taken over the Avenue of Everdusk,
Yes.
so probably
yeah.
a good spot to check.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, which is all of floor 5 and 6, right? On the southern side.
Correct.
But there's a better chance of you getting caught if you go there.
Yeah.
This is literally the black market. This is
The home of the Circle of Silence.
Yeah.
It is
like
where the
the-
Jade Exchange
yeah.
operates out of, and that's their primary, like, that's how they
And
sell
Eric's
things
Black
primarily.
Market is there.
There's a lot of good stuff
The
there.
Soul Exchange is there.
There's Eric's, there's
The
Black
Dark
Mark,
Spirit
Soul
Monastery.
Exchange, the Jade Exchange, the Dark Spirit Monastery, the Willow Mirrors Wand Shop, Jade Tea Cafe, the Jade Tea Shop, and Petalfall is what you know of. And then additionally, you would know on the Avenue of Everdusk, there is the Tattered Honeycomb, 8-finger discount, Gage's Cage, the Mage's Apprentice, an Elote stand, and Nusonans and Sons Leather. But you went through the Avenue of Everdusk, so you have a better idea as to what's there now.
Yeah, that's where we got in the little marketplace scuffle.
Yep. You guys have been to the Jade Exchange. You know, you've only seen the outside of it. You guys haven't even gotten to like the secure parts yet, and that was pretty secure.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm, you know where I stand on this.
I just want to walk in with no plan. Because we're probably going to be severely outnumbered. It's not going to be a one-on-one.
So you would know if you wanted to post up somewhere and kind of observe what was happening on the Avenue of Everdusk.
Petalfall.
Either Petalfall or on the other end in a dead-end street, the Tattered Honeycomb is this, like, it's a single-story tavern. It is across a long avenue, actually, from the Elote stand. And that is a place that you can kind of hang out and get a good sense for what's going on in the avenue without being on the major
avenue,
strip.
Right. Okay.
It's kind of like a corner, like a little corner street off.
Okay.
But Petalfall is on the avenue proper.
Right. But it's also outdoors.
Correct.
Yeah. So we could go right to the avenue, or we could go close to it and see if anything happens.
If we go directly to the avenue, we're just walking into the trap. We're walking into the wolf's den.
But if she already knows that you're here,
She knows that it was coming. She might not know we're physically here yet, but then again, we could be being tailed this whole time. And
if Shay hasn't seen anything yet, then it'd only be if she's using the eye, which she probably is using the eye, so she probably knows that you're here. So,
but if she knew exactly where we were, this wouldn't be a conversation. It would be over.
well, but she does want you alive, so I don't know. It's your call, I guess.
Let's go to the honeycomb. At least as we're walking there, we'll get a better idea of how far away from the Everton is spread.
Fine. I'm walking.
Yeah, you walk. It takes you only about 10 minutes to get to the Avenue of Everdusk, since you know the correct way to go. There is a side stairwell that you can take diagonally. It is a staircase that makes no sense. It feels, when you're walking it, like you're just going down, 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 across, and then up, and then back almost the exact same amount of distance. But somehow, it stops just short where it should deposit you on an upper floor where you just were. It deposits you into an entire new section, separated probably by just one wall. Had you not taken the stairwell, it would have been a much further walk around. But you enter onto the 5th floor of the Avenue of Everdusk. This is a shady section of the city, of an already shady city. You can see large sloped clay tile roofs that overlap. you'd imagine, unlike other parts of the city where guards walk along the top, these angle in and would make it so that you cannot see into this portion of the city. And it is dark, save the many paper lanterns that float along the top where the tiles kind of come down, and they cast multicolor lights across all of the avenue at all times. You can see there's gutters that run down the narrow channel on either side of the street, and the tall 2-story buildings here rise up, and there's like a story left, and then the actual ceiling before the 6th floor begins. You see the paper lanterns, and somehow here, even without the sun, Oakfeld to you, very interesting vines grow along the walls and produce pale pink, red, white roses, whose petals fall softly around. Every now and then, one will just kind of fall on your shoulder or hit the ground. The first thing that you see as you navigate through and around, there's a couple like houses and things, but you can see passing off to the right a kobold who you actually have seen in the Jade Exchange prior. He was the one selling pipe leaf, but you see him and like a short little dwarf who they kind of watch you guys as you pass and then go back to talking. Certainly a drug deal. Let's see, give me 1 second here. Then you pass what is a little tiny shop called the Mage's Apprentice. This is like a tiny little super low level magic shop. You can see there are a few little odds and ends. There's a petrified lizard just swinging from a very thin silver chain in the center of the room. All kinds of weird stuff. To the left across from that, you see Gage's Cage. It's a one kind of entryway building, and then a door goes back. Underneath it says Debt Cellar. Continuing around the corner, you can see at the very end a sign for the Tattered Honeycomb. But for you begin to notice very quickly, there are figures here who have the Dawnkeeper kind of sigil. And as you look down this long stretch into the Tattered Honeycomb, you see, sitting across and looking directly at you, Gale of Storm. And for a little visual perspective before we break for the night, can you take the map off the table?
Oh yeah, because now we're gonna get a map so that we can just go right into it when we come back.
Yeah, it's great. It worked out great.
Oh, I keep hitting the mic. That thing
That's okay,
is
it's
off.
Okay, so the other larger build that I built for this thing.
Oh,
Wow, nice.
So this is the Dawn Honeycomb. I'm gonna hold that for a second. Just let it go off.
Me.
So what you see is what you get. You can see the elote stand, or let me put this up for a camera for other people at home to see. Where's my close-up? There we go. So you can see you have, with the actual corn painted on the top, this is the elote stand. There's a person
nice.
selling to a bunch of people over here. Here's your kobold selling drugs to a dwarf.
Great.
You will notice there are people here with blue bases. Those are all people wearing the Dawnkeeper sigil. This is the Debt Cellar. You can see across the way over here, Debt Cellar, little magic shop.
Read Gage's Cage.
Gage's Cage right there. You see the cage?
Oh, yeah.
You can see, actually, there is one of the Dawnkeeper people standing outside of that shop. There appears to be some other kind of food or beverage store over there. This seems to be like a blacksmith shop. And then in there, you can see all the way across, and I can't remember if I actually put it in there or not, is Gale's store. Okay, I'll have to go get him later. But he is back there. He might be under the bookcase that fell down.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Are you there, Gale? Gale? Oh, he got out. Yeah. So anyways, this is what you're seeing, and for all of you entering in, you're coming in right about here.
Great.
So you guys are like literally 10 feet off to your right. You can see there is one of these Dawnkeeper folks. However, because it is 12:11, I just wanted, it seemed like we were about to get to this edge, so I just really wanted to see if we could get here. We were going to end for the evening. So thank you guys very much for hanging out with us for Adventures in Alberon. We appreciate it. Talon, of course, Das, everybody else who stopped by, thank you so much. Whew. We are going to be back next week. Next week, interestingly enough, will be the last time that we were playing Adventures in Alberon at 8:30 p.m. After next week, we'll begin playing at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fridays. same amount of time. It's just going to let us get to bed a little earlier. When we began this campaign, almost 4 years ago, all of us were in very different places. We had Allie and Miles and Caleb and Krista and like a whole bunch of different people, a whole bunch of different things. And so to coordinate the schedules, it was very different circumstances back then. None of us work shift work anymore. Like things are a lot easier to coordinate. And there was a point last week where I was like, wait, why are we still playing at 8:30 on a Friday night? So next week is the last time that we're playing at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then the week after that, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Friday at twitch.tv/AlberonRPG will be Adventures in Alberon. But prior to that, next Thursday will be session 10 of Mosaic Team 5, where Matt, Dan, a number of other people, Carson, Olive Ari, Olive and Gibbs. Ari doesn't get to be human anymore. Sorry, Ari, you're Gibbs now. But you can come out, hunt bounties with us in the future. But until then, it is quite a crazy world out there, so please stay safe. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.